Hello, everyone. It's Leanne Newton. I'm here with Cassidy.
Hey guys, I don't see the. Oh wait, am I? Oh, I'm in private chat. I got to click over to comments. I'm like, I don't see comments yet. Oh, there we go. Hey guys. So you were saying that you've done a deep dive into the company?
Yeah, so we were just talking backstage. So yeah, when Vanzan, this whole thing with Ryan Reynolds registering as the CEO very suddenly, um, I had to look at the certificate of incorporation, and I noticed
Yeah.
that the incorporator was a company called LS Incorporation Services. And I had a look at what they were, and they're kind of like a company that that incorporates business, like these entities for
Mm-hmm.
people who are usually in the entertainment industry under fictitious names.
Hmm.
So, but even though I mean that's perfectly legal, but they when you do that, you've got to file a certificate of assumed name with the Department of State, which
Uh,
will which is not a public document, but it will have the name of the kind of the real person. I'm gonna have to let my dog in. I'm sorry, she's
it's okay.
whining.
I love dogs. Yeah, we were just gonna talk a little bit about Vanzan today. It's not something I've personally been able to deep dive yet, because once I lock myself on a topic, that's all I do. I just kind of just hyper focus on it, and I haven't had a chance to dive into what's going on with that. So Leanne has, and so she was catching me up a little bit on that stuff. Oh, you're back.
I am back. um, yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's
I put my dog out of the office, and like she doesn't like being left out.
okay.
So I mean, what do you think? Ryan Reynolds is now CEO.
Yeah,
My
that's
view, my view of that is right. Is I personally don't think it's going to make a difference
mm-mm,
because at the time that the lawsuit was filed, and at the time, I mean the Van Zandt lawsuit now,
mm-hmm.
and at the time the subpoena was issued, it was this LS Incorporation Services who were the incorporators. So whoever is under the assumed name will be
Mm-hmm.
the CEO. But according to a footnote in Blake Lively's own amended complaint, she was the recipient of the documents that were produced in response to the subpoena. I don't
Yes.
I don't think it makes any difference that Ryan Reynolds is, as of this week, the CEO.
No, that's as silly as having a company, not paying taxes, doing shady business with it, and then selling it and thinking that you'll get away with what you did previously because you don't own it anymore.
Yeah.
If you did whatever you did when you owned that company, still comes back to you. And I think that might be what they're mistakenly thinking can happen now. Since Ryan was dismissed from the case, I think they might think that if it's all in Ryan's name, that they can't subpoena stuff, that he can fight them finding more information out about that business, which to me is a bigger indicator that something is actually wrong. Because if
Yeah.
it's true that the only thing that that business had ever done before was ship some, what was it, some stuff for a video she supposedly directed for,
Yeah, some
which,
furniture from the UK over to America for a Taylor Swift video she was directing.
yeah, which I'm sure Taylor directed herself and just let her play, but that's my own that's just my own
Anger.
opinion. I can't imagine Taylor just going, "Oh, okay, I'll do whatever you say." But anyway, that's a
No,
whole different topic. But
we will have a video on that.
but to me, if that's all you've done and then you've done this lawsuit, why are you all of a sudden hiring a criminal attorney to represent that company and doing all this? To me, it means this company might need to be looked into a little bit better.
Well, I do think, because I mean, it still wouldn't matter. I still don't see that Ryan Reynolds registering as the CEO is going to make much difference in terms of, you know, fighting the subpoena, because the subpoena is for Vanzan. It's
Right.
not for Blake Lively. Although ironically, she has responded to the Vanzan subpoena
Yeah.
by producing all the documents. She should not
Yeah,
have,
it's in the
she
legal
has no
documents.
control. Yeah, but
Her attorney's saying, "Well, you already got it. You already got it from Blake." Well, there you just implicated your own client, dummy,
exactly.
by being a
And
smart aleck. You know, that's the thing about these people. None of them can shut their mouths, whether
no,
it's Blake and Ryan or their PR person or their attorneys. They're all running their mouths trying to be hateful, and in the process, they're telling on themselves constantly. I was laughing about that. I'm like, you're in here trying so hard to be nasty in your filings, and you don't even realize what you've just done. You've
no.
just implicated her,
It
dummy.
was, but in the letter, the Vanzan response to Jen Abel, I had to laugh because there was a quote in there. This come after Blake Lively's letter to the judge, like, "Oh, hold on, judge. You know, I've already given all the documents. There's no need for this."
Mhm.
Then
Yeah,
Van
that's
Zandt wrote their own response to Jen Abel, as they are supposed to do. Blake Lively shouldn't have said anything.
right.
But then in that letter, they were like, well, Blake Lively has already produced all the documents. And then on the next page, you're like, fine, we will reproduce. I was like, oh, okay. So
That was
you
so
are the same person then,
you
really.
are the same, yes, and you just admitted it in a legal filing.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
they were so eager to be nasty and put the other side down, and weren't even, I mean, that they're it's just like this whole thing started with vengeance and rage, you know, and it's still the motivating factor, and that's why they still continue to do the dumbest things. I mean, I was reading, I don't know if you had a chance to see the video I made about Stephanie Jones over in California, which I happen to be very excited about,
I am
um,
too.
because it's opened up a new court. Another judge is gonna be looking at that stuff, and there's nothing Lyman can do about it.
No, and I
So
tell you
what's that?
no, go on.
Whatever gets decided over there, it won't have implications in this trial, but it will be there as, like a marker to see what we'll really see if Lyman feels like this is no big deal, but California reacts to it, it's really gonna be obvious.
Yeah, and I
Because
know that
now
the laws in California as well for the kind of, you know, tech company in Silicon Valley, you know,
oh,
person,
absolutely.
they are, you know, they will favor, you know, companies like
They
Meta
will.
interest.
Yep.
But that subpoena on the tech companies though, that is, do you remember the Edgeworth subpoena where she
Yes.
was saying, "Oh no, well this was, you know, I was contemplating a lawsuit." But yeah, this
Work product and all, yeah.
yeah, but she is just kind of she's implicated Jen Abel and was it Case and Coslow, the two tag
Yes.
employees?
Yes, she really wants them, and you know what my conclusion was after I saw that? Yeah, they did, and it's a criminal one. But sorry, I'm looking at comments, that was Agatha. But, no, I forgot. See, I need to stop looking at comments because I always lose my place when I do. Oh, what was I forgot what I was saying. Oh,
Yeah.
I think what Stephanie Jones has done
Mm.
is shown us a little bit more that she really did go through Jennifer's entire phone. By
Yes.
the things that she has subpoenaed, did you notice? She subpoenaed WhatsApp,
Yeah.
Signal, um, Facebook, Pinterest. Then there was a company that's like a cloud, not a cloud, but some kind of hosting service.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
and then
But
another one that was for VPNs.
yes.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, and that's what I said on my video about it. I don't have Signal. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Pinterest. I don't have, like, a lot of the things that she had, I don't even have. So it's not the kind of thing that you can assume that everybody has. So it tells me that she knows exactly what's on Jennifer's phone.
Yeah.
There are things that she saw on Signal or things that she saw on WhatsApp that she wants, but there's no subpoena to date that's covered any of that. So she's trying to cover stuff that she has already, just like
Yeah.
she did with the actual messages.
Yeah.
Like
It's
California is not going to give it to her. I just covered like the basic standard cases that they use to decide all other cases. But I mean, I made this huge list of times they've lost. And it would have just been like too long and it would have gotten too boring to have gone through all of them. So I just chose like the standards. But they're not getting that stuff.
no, they're not.
And she's so goofy. And I feel like these people are writing their own filings. And I don't know if they've just got really bad lawyers or if the attorneys themselves can't, they have to like make their clients happy. So they're putting stuff they know is foolish in these filings.
Oh,
But
and
her
like,
argument was there's no First Amendment issue. And I'm like, how are you that dumb?
no,
Because
exactly.
if you look at the cases that they cited as the reasons for refusing these subpoenas, the First Amendment, how that comes into play is because those cases were exactly like what she wants. Something not nice was said about someone on the internet. And they're trying to find the people who said it. The First Amendment right means we have a right to say something bad about a person on the internet as long as we don't pass into something illegal.
Yeah.
So because that's their right to say that stuff, they are protected for their free speech. You can't just go find them. But she can't even put that together. She's like, well, this isn't about the First Amendment. And I'm
No,
like, how do you not realize that? It's
no,
crazy.
definitely. I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that one pans out. I
Yeah,
think
me
that's going to be
too.
quite an interesting one to follow. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't think she's going to get it because,
Mm-mm.
California is so it is so protective of the tech valley that
Yeah.
I just I don't think she's going to. I think it's ridiculous anyway. I think to be upset because there's a defamatory law, what she perceives as defamation. Websites that where it sounds like ex-employees possibly
Right.
or ex-clients have kind of voiced their opinions. Well,
Yeah.
have you
It's like
seen
a
her
bad Yelp review.
Glassdoor reviews?
Yeah. That's exactly what it is,
I, yeah,
And
I, I honestly, I did a deep dive thread of Stephanie Jones, and I pulled in. It was like about 12 pages of Glassdoor, employer, current and an ex-employee reviews. And
Wow.
honestly, the stuff that was being said in there was wilder than what Wayfarer and Jen Abel put in their complaints about her.
Wow.
It was
Yeah,
mental.
see, she's gonna end up doing the same thing that Blake did
Yeah,
because she's gonna get ex-employees now coming forward and doing sworn affidavits about their experience.
yeah,
I mean, that could happen, and I hope it happens. But they're gonna fight this in California, and now they have a chance to respond. Since it's in a court there now, this motion to compel for these subpoenas, they all get a chance to respond.
yeah, exactly.
And so guess what? California is going to get all of the details of how she took that phone and everything behind it. And I'm excited about that because they're not going to like that over there.
And I think for Stephanie Jones in general, just bringing this up now, right, when she's already in the midst of a legal battle with one ex-employee and one ex-client, and she could win it because I've got to say there is some evidence that does look like it does make Jennifer Abel look bad.
Hmm.
Some of the messages, it does make it sound like she may have been taking some
Hmm.
information she wasn't entitled to. So she has a lawsuit where certainly before Vanzan, I would have said, oh, it was quite plausible that Stephanie Jones might have actually won.
Hmm.
I think Vanzan has weakened it, but not completely obliterated her chance. I still think she has. We obviously don't have all the information, but
Right.
that there's claims and then there's counterclaims, and there is a chance that currently they could walk away with a bit of something on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
What I think, though, is by opening up this lawsuit, these subpoenas with the potential to pursue a lawsuit where she's claiming that she's been defamed and people are saying all these slanderous things about her. I mean, the whole thing had gone quiet. The Stephanie Jones lies and the Stephanie Jones leaks things. They've gone quite quiet. And it's same as Blake Lively. She had her backlash and her bad press. It went quiet. And then what happened then is you do something public that makes reminds everyone. They call it the Barbara Streisand effect, right?
Yeah.
And then it just reminds everyone, oh my God, yes, you're a shitty person, or your company is a shitty company. And then there's like another whole wave of backlash and, oh yeah, right, I remember now, I don't like you. And I think she's risked doing that, and I can't actually see why, because she's not even actually initiated an actual lawsuit yet, actually. Because there's no lawsuit filed. This is a subpoena.
Yeah, but they all get to respond now because there's actual.
Yeah.
She filed that once she filed the motion to compel, they can respond. So yeah, and now they can take it all to California, like how the phone was taken, and it was taken in California, and I think there was a little bit of shade in the responses. There were 2 cases that were cited that were from the Southern District of New York. So I think that was done intentionally because
of course it was.
Of course it was, right? Because most of it centered on cases in California. But yeah, there were 2 specific to the Southern District. And I think there was only one other one that involved another state, and I think it was Washington. But the subpoena, of course, went to California. Because as you said, that's Silicon Valley. That's where all that stuff. That's what I was trying to click, but I didn't. I love that description.
So do I. That's why I filled it up.
But her and Blake both, they blew this up to where more people heard. I never heard any of the backlash about Blake.
No.
I don't follow Hollywood, really. This is kind of, the only... I didn't even follow the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing.
Really?
But so this is kind of the first Hollywood case I've ever followed and never been like super big on it. But so I'd never heard. I had no idea.
Oh, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right? That was a hell of a ride, honestly. We obviously I was kind of keeping an eye on the UK court for obvious reasons, but so I saw how all that played out.
There, right?
She
won in the UK,
no,
right?
she did not.
Oh, I thought she did.
She won shit. All her supporters say, "Oh, she won in the UK." She didn't win anything because she was not a party.
See, that's all I've heard.
No, honestly, right? People say that. They're probably Amber Heard supporters. No, she didn't win anything because she wasn't a party. So Johnny Depp took on the Sun newspaper, and one of the journalists said, Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton has actually apologised anyway, so that's by the by. But obviously, in the UK, defamation claims against mainstream media is incredibly hard to win. So. And all they had to do really was bring Amber Heard as a witness and basically say, well, yeah, he hit me. So then the Sun kind of have their, they have their defense then of, well, it was a reasonable, honest opinion, So that's why they won. Amber Heard was only too happy to get on the stand.
So it wasn't...
it wasn't a win. She didn't win anything at all because she wasn't a party and she wasn't subject.
That's how little I know about it.
She wasn't subject to discovery, and that's why in Virginia the judge would not allow any information about the UK trial to come in to taint the jury's view of that. She wasn't subject to discovery at all. She could pick and choose what she submitted as evidence, and she couldn't be. Johnny Depp couldn't pursue discovery on her because she wasn't a party. So I'll overlook the fact that the son of the judge who presided over that case, actually, the son worked with Dan Wootton, and the parent company of the Sun newspaper. So that's when we're talking about judicial bias, like that there were so many connections there that they make Lyman look completely neutral. Amber Heard was actually out having dinner with the judge's wife during.
Oh no!
Yeah,
no.
I'm not even kidding you. So and the judge was there was some kind of link as well between the judge and Amber Heard's lawyers. So yeah, there was so many connections. It was absolutely wild, but she actually won nothing. That case was just mental anyway. And that's just two people. So when people are like, "Oh, well, this case is, it's a lot. It keeps flooding the docket." It's like, well, no, there's so many parties here. This is quite normal. This is okay.
Yeah, I didn't. My take on it was these are Hollywood people. They're probably both not very nice, and I just didn't. It just didn't appeal to me. I didn't really. I wasn't interested in it. The only thing I know is there was something about her leaving turds on the bed or something. That's like that's enough for me. I don't need to know anything else about this.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is probably two just like sick people, and how do you distinguish? Yeah. I
recommend watching the YouTube videos of the trial if you ever get a moment, just the trial itself, because it was obviously televised. It was one of the funniest things. There were moments in there, like they had Amber Heard had some expert witnesses. There was a doctor, a psychiatric doctor, who was trying to diagnose Johnny Depp as we're having narcissistic personality disorder based off his Jack Sparrow and Willy Wonka characters, because he'd never sat down and assessed him in person. The court said no to that, so he went and watched. He went and watched the films.
Oh my goodness!
Seriously, it was hilarious. And then we had oh my god, there was a hashtag social media type expert. He was wild to watch, and it was just hilarious because Johnny Depp's one of Johnny Depp's lawyers, I can't remember his name. He was seen less than the others, but I really liked him. He seemed to do all the expert witnesses, and somehow he managed to get the expert and Amber Heard's witnesses, Amber Heard's lawyers, to keep repeatedly saying Amber Turd so many times, and it just got the stenographer's sitting there laughing her head off because she's writing that. The jury got to read it over and over and over again for about half an hour. Just all it was said was pretty much was Amber Turd on repeat.
Oh goodness. Okay, I've got to watch it. I've got to watch it at some point.
Oh, you do
I
have
think
to watch it.
I think that happened.
Yeah, Dr. Spiegel.
Dr.
Oh my God,
Spiegel? All right, I just might do it. Yeah, I think when that came out right at the end of the Murdaugh trial, right?
Yeah. Yes, the lawyer was Wayne Dennison. He was just absolutely. I think he was all the lawyers for Johnny Depp were really good, but I think this one should have had more praise for the way he handled the expert witnesses. I thought he did a great job.
All right.
Yeah, that's just me fangirling lawyers again.
See, and you know what? That's how I am. I just said that the other day. I'm like, I've never had a celebrity crush. I've never been oh, this celebrity, that celebrity. But I do really fangirl over lawyers.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. The prosecutor for the Murdaugh trial, I got to meet him, and I was like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe myself. I've never been like that before. I was so starstruck meeting him, and I got his autograph. I got a hug. I was just so excited.
Oh, that's nice.
Did you watch that trial?
I didn't watch that one. No.
Oh,
I'll tell
that's a
you
good
what, then,
one.
right? If you watch the Depp one, I'll watch the Murdoch trial.
Okay. The Murdoch one is pretty long. I don't know how long the Depp one is.
It was like 8 weeks.
Okay, they're about the same then. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was long. And oh my goodness, I couldn't even sit down watching it most of the time. I was like pacing. But
yeah.
Alex's his attorneys are the worst. Don't like them at all. And then there was Creighton. And Creighton is just, and I've seen him in action. Like I traveled there, not for the murder trial,
Hmm.
but I went there for some follow-up hearings. And he would have to face 3 of them in one day. And each of them had their own set of really like for their like really high level attorneys. And he would come in and he's just so cool. Just they walk in and like especially Dick Harpootlian, who was a senator at the time, and he walks in and he just kind of struts in and like everybody's there to see him, sort of thing. Just one of those type people. But
Yeah.
all the defense attorneys, because the day that I went, it was Alex was there and he was already in prison by then. Alex was there and his team. Corey Fleming was there and his team. He was one of the attorneys that was Alex's accomplice to a couple of the cases. And then there was the banker who was also the accomplice, who I personally think was the mastermind of the money in the first place. But and then his team. And they're like lawyer legislators and they're like, these big time guys there. And then there's Creighton. And those guys all come in and they're all in expensive suits and they're all standing around in the front of the court, right in front of the camera, and they're just talking and laughing and just so full of themselves. Like you can just read it. And
Yeah.
then Creighton walks in and he's got this rolling file and he gets everything out and he sets up his desk and you see him, he like came in and his brain was on. It's just like on and he's just going through everything in his head and he's standing there after he sets all of his things up and you can see that he's going through the stuff in his head while they're all just schmoozing, walking around, shaking hands, laughing as loud as they can. It was so repulsive to me. And then well, when Dick walks in, he's the senator. He's the one I really, really can't stand. When he walks in, he's got this paralegal that I call his mommy because she's carrying his stuff in her bag and he's just walking in like he doesn't want to mess up his suit by carrying anything. And he sets down this stack of papers that looks like it's just come out of it looked like when you open up a ream of paper and it's all just so neatly stacked like it's never been opened or gone through. It's
Yeah.
like sits down like that. It looks like it was just like put there as a prop. And he never opens it, never does anything with it. And then Creighton's got all these stacks and stacks of stuff. And then they start talking and you can see like Dick has not prepared. He doesn't know what he's going to say. He thinks he can just wing it. But Creighton starts off and he's got to carry the cases because he's the prosecutor. So he has to introduce, and they all have these like lines and lines of charges, and it's criminal. So each one has a different case number, and he's got them memorized, and he's just rattling them off one after another, telling them why they're here today, and it just without even looking at notes. He's just amazing to watch. He's so brilliant, and whatever they say, it's always so stupid, and he just like smacks it down. It's really nice to see. I just think he's brilliant.
No, that sounds great. Yeah, no, I feel the same. Like I do enjoy looking at the lawyers, I mean, I tell you what, this law firm for the Vanzan, for the company. I do find that their lawyering techniques are quite sloppy. I'm not liking that at all. I don't know what you think.
Can you say that again?
The law firm for the Vanzan.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not kind of like, I'm not impressed with the lawyering skills.
no,
You see, like,
no.
I gotta say, right, and I love Brian Friedman. I really do. I've made no secret about that.
Yeah, same here.
But I am blown away by Jed Wallace's lawyers.
Yes.
They are
They're
so funny.
they are hilarious. See,
They
that's
are,
what I like. That
yeah,
when you've got that little low level wit, but it like cuts to the bone. But
yeah.
it's
It,
just
it
like,
lands so well.
yeah,
But
because I
that's
think
you know that they honestly believe in their client. Otherwise, you would
mhm,
just get kind of tired. You know, we'll just keep it short and sweet and to the point.
mhm,
But they really take time, and they do almost seem to enjoy taking jabs at Lively.
they do. And they do it so expertly. I think them and Ellen, they're so
Yes,
good at it. Because like, the other team tries it, but, like, Ezra and, what's the other guy's name? Michael Gottlieb. There's
yeah,
it's just, like, nasty. It's not witty, it's not clever, it's
no,
it's just nasty, and so it doesn't land the same. And then if I hear one more time that this is a PR stunt. I mean, I actually drew Michael Gottlieb as a parrot, or not drew him, but I put his head on a parrot going, "It's a PR stunt," because every single time, and then the guy, John, for Vanzan, the first guy who gets hired to do Vanzan, to cover Vanzan, that's the first line he says. Another attempt at PR. I'm like, "You just got here, dude. What are you even talking about?" Because
I
he had just been
know,
added to the case. And he's talking like he's sick of hearing something. I'm like, "You just got here. Shut up."
I
And
know.
and Wayfair has not gone to the media. Look at this latest, subpoena stunt. Who leaked that? They did.
Yeah.
The latest PR stuff has all been from the Lively team, not from anything Wayfair.
Do you know? I'm going to be really honest, right, on the subject of those subpoenas.
Mhm.
I'm a little put out. I'm a
Yeah.
little annoyed that I haven't had one, because I have been quite open that I
Well,
have, sent stuff, via email to Friedman, to Fritz, and to another member of staff who's not on the docket, so I won't put their name out. But yeah, I'm like, I've been quite open about that, and like, I'm just a bit. Where's my subpoena? Unless they're going through, because they're gonna have to go through British courts anyway to
oh,
get
that's
some.
true. But
So
but to be honest, someone put this in a comment, and I thought about it, and I thought, "You know what? They're right." They picked people that they can spin in a bad way.
yeah,
They picked people that have controversy behind their names.
yes, they do. And as much as I love, I like all three of them. I know Andy, and get on very well with him, and will and have in the past defended him over things. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know the other two, but I have no problem with them at all. They
Right.
provide good content. But yeah, I agree. They're all in their own way, for whatever reason they have been deemed controversial over something or another. Well,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with everything, but
No, no,
um,
and I'm not saying anything needs to be, brought out about their past, but I think
no,
that that's what they did. They picked people that they can
well,
dig stuff up on and say,
yeah.
"Oh, look at this."
Exactly. And well, I mean, Andy, I can understand, because he's obviously done a documentary. He's been very vocal. He's had, members of the cast and crew who have spoken to him on an anonymous basis. And, so there's all that. So I can understand she probably wanted to know who said what, because that seems to be her kind
Yeah,
of
I think
MO.
I think that's what she wants from him. She
Yeah.
knows that he interviewed, cast, not cast, crew.
I mean, Perez Hilton hasn't actually had a subpoena, so I'll kind of put a pin in that.
Oh, he didn't get one, huh?
He hasn't come out and said he's actually got it yet.
Oh, okay.
So, and normally he'd be the first one out with it. But Candace Owens, yeah, she, you know, some people see her as controversial, agree, and you know, but her and Perez, they both have, you know, big audiences too.
Well, yeah, doesn't she get? She gets in the millions of views, doesn't
like
she?
5 million subscribers, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Perez Hilton is quite close.
That was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Because she'll be like a dog with a bone now.
Of course
But
she will.
it's funny they didn't go after Megyn Kelly. I would have thought they did. They would have done that.
Well, yeah, I would have, because I mean, that's the commonality with Perez Hilton and Megyn Kelly. Is they're both former, you know, well, they're both clients of Brian Friedman. I know.
Yeah,
I had this question last night. If Perez Hilton gets a subpoena, realistically, could he call upon Brian Friedman? I would say that would be a conflict of interest. He might need to look.
I feel like that would be a conflict of interest. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs a different firm then.
You know what? He's overloaded as it is.
Yeah. Well, I think it will look. I don't think it'll look good if he's.
It won't look good.
Because he's taken on a bunch. He's got so many parties, and then he's got a bunch of non-parties and the members of staff of the parties. I think it would be something that Perez Hilton would have to look for a different law firm to represent him in that situation. Because it's opposing counsel, you know, which his you know, which Brian Friedman is currently in active litigation against. So, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't sure how you felt. I know in the UK, I think it would definitely be considered a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I feel like it would as well. And he's just, even if it's not, he's got too much on his plate already.
Yeah, I think so. Today, Vanzan, I think. Okay, let me ask that a different way. Why do you think suddenly Ryan Reynolds has made himself the CEO instead of Blake Lively?
I think that because he was dismissed from the case, that he mistakenly thinks that he can fight it better than she can.
Do you think there's a bigger thing going on that maybe they're trying to hide?
I do think so. I do think so, because if this business just existed, like we talked about, to move some furniture from the UK for that video, and then Blake used it for the Vanzan, why would you need a criminal attorney with the background that this Margarita has?
Yeah.
And first they had John, and then they got her. Why? If that's all there is, if they say, well, we didn't really use it much, we just kind of forgot about it, so we didn't really put officers in it, we'll just close it. That wouldn't be suspicious to me. I wouldn't think twice about it. I would think, oh, it's just something that they set up. But I to be honest, I knew that they had this thing, but I thought it was just some little business, and I'm sure they've probably got more than that one that they had set up at some point for some reason or other. I didn't think about it being a big deal. But now that they've hired not one, but two attorneys, and who this attorney is, makes, to me, now I really want to know about this business, because what are they trying to hide? And originally, when they hired an ex-CIA guy, the first thing I thought is, this is not about Blake at all. This is Ryan trying to protect his business interests. And there might be something a little shady there. Not to accuse him of anything, but it's always a possibility, especially when someone, because I went through their entire careers in Hollywood for the past 10 years. And it was shocking to me what I found, because I think, myself included, we all mistook prolific for meaning successful. Because when you see a guy everywhere, you think, oh, he's so successful. Oh, they're Hollywood A-listers. But when I actually went through, most of his movies lost money. And the same to her. And basically, she's kind of been a stay-at-home mom for most of their marriage. At the very beginning, she had several movies like grouped together. And I think personally, I think he didn't like it because her career was starting to take off. And he'd just come out of that imbalanced marriage with Scarlett Johansson, where she was soaring and he was dying. Like his career was dying. And it was described that way in articles at the time. A couple of his last appearances in movies, one of them he was uncredited. Another one he was the guy who got hit at the bar. These are the kind of roles that he was down to. Then he got Green Lantern, and that was a big joke. That's like widely considered the worst superhero movie ever made.
Yeah, it was awful.
But somehow he kept being put in movies. Anybody else, if their movies did as badly as his did for years, they would have been gone. So somebody has been like supporting this man for a long time and keeping him there. But he has made movie after movie after movie, but they were not successful.
No.
Then until Deadpool. And he worked to get Deadpool for like 11 years and finally got it. But when he did his first Deadpool movie, they only paid him $2 million, which to say only about $2 million sounds silly. But when you contrast it with what everybody else was making.
Well, it's less than Blake Lively got for It Ends With Us. She got $3 million.
There you go. For a superhero movie that always makes, around $1 billion. But yeah, he got paid too. And just to put it into perspective, Scarlett Johansson makes $20 million per appearance when she plays Black Widow. And Robert Downey Jr., when he would play Iron Man, I think the last one he played, he got something like $75 million for that. So Ryan coming in at 2, that's pretty sad. And then, of course, Deadpool 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine, he made a lot more. But he was like way down there financially. And then he got Deadpool. And then he sold Aviation and Mint and got hundreds of millions of dollars all of a sudden. When you get that much money all at once, we're talking about at least half of it in taxes.
Yeah.
And so people find creative ways to not lose it all to taxes. Decent people will find charities and donate to charities because that does give you tax breaks and stuff. And it's like, well, I'd rather give it to a charity than to the tax man.
Yeah.
But, they for the money that they have, they actually, I hate to see them called philanthropists because they actually give so little in comparison to what they have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think they deserve the title of philanthropist. Just because you give a little money to a charity doesn't mean you are a philanthropist.
And that little bit of money is, more often than not, it's been an apology.
Yeah, for the NAACP. Right. So, yeah, so I, with bearing that in mind, that he suddenly got dumped all of this money all at once, I wouldn't be surprised if it was discovered that there was some way that it was trying to avoid, I don't want to accuse him of a crime, but finding creative ways to distribute the wealth somehow.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
No, I do agree with you. I do. I'll tell you what other interesting thing this law firm does, though. Zuckerman Spado, yeah, as well as the sort of the criminal side, they also do legal profession and ethics. They represent law firm investigations and disputes, and litigated matters like malpractice suits to business of law counseling. So they represent law firms who are accused of malpractice and ethic violations.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Well, I did. I thought it was so interesting. I gave it its own post.
I'm gonna have to look. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna
Send
dig.
it to you.
Oh, the Bushbirds are here. She has a great voice. I love her voice. Bushbirds.
Oh,
But yeah, I think they just keep these little things. They don't have that much attention, and then
no.
they keep doing something that brings more attention to it. They're their own worst enemies.
Well, that's it. I think if they just hadn't done that whole filing, because like I said to you backstage, literally the day before Ryan Reynolds filed as the CEO of Vanzan, I was basically trying to counter misinformation, and the misinformation, I won't say where it's come from. I'm sure most people will know anyway, but it was basically that, well, it doesn't. The papers don't have Blake Lively on them, so and the company has got no standing to bring a lawsuit. So I went and sort of had a look into all of this, and and then what I found was actually that under rule section 408 of the business law, that actually the Vanzan, as it was, right, so it wasn't up to date with its filings. However, the Department of State had not taken any action, so they were still active. And what that means then basically is they do have standing. They can bring a lawsuit.
Oh, I did see that on your X thread.
So they have standing to bring a lawsuit. What they don't have is capacity, which is capacity can be raised as a defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the defendants. Obviously, that didn't happen here because we have no defendants. There were many, many good reasons for doing this the way they did. It's not just to avoid giving notice of a subpoena. There were, the company lacked capacity really, but that was only an issue that could be brought up by the defendants in a lawsuit initiated by the company, and there were no defendants to argue that. And basically, I made the comment in my post. I said, well, all they have to do to cure this problem now is just to file all the, to catch up with the filings and bring the company back into standing. And when I say standing, I don't mean like the lack of to bring a lawsuit. I mean just, that everything is all up to date and everything is complied with. The next day, Ryan Reynolds' son
becomes the CEO.
He's become, the filings are all back up to date, and Ryan Reynolds is now the CEO.
Yeah.
So that
it was a weird choice. It definitely was, and I can't. And I don't know much about corporate law at all.
No,
to be honest.
See, I do, but more. I'm UK. That's why I actually found this particular area really easy to go away and look into. Because in corporate law, you're dealing with international firms, you're dealing with international laws. That you've got to negotiate contracts that work with your law, but also work with another country's law. So I was okay with that. And once you got the hold of the articles of incorporation and you had all the information, you could really look into it then at that point. It wasn't that. So basically the thread that, this is all going to get thrown out because Vanzan never had standing to file a lawsuit. Well, that's not true, actually. And besides which, what are you going to do anyway? We can't put the text back as if they've never brought out. They're out. The only thing that can really happen now, if Wayfarer chooses to, is I think it's possible that Friedman may go down the abusive process route.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing.
Because he's actually used that term, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's the first thing out of his mouth.
Yeah,
and there's an attorney that I talked to, and that's what he said to, and he's filed that before in another case that he worked on.
yeah.
I'm trying to get him to come to my channel and talk about it, but either that, or if somehow Jennifer Abel wins, then they can even do malicious prosecution afterwards.
Yeah, I think so.
But abusive process now, I think is their best bet, especially since Justin lost his cases. Those were all dismissed. So, but people get impatient and they're like, why hasn't the judge ruled on it? Well, he doesn't have anything to rule on yet because nothing's been put before him.
No, it hasn't, in fairness.
And nothing can be put before him until Friedman gets a chance to actually put the whole case together. And until he has all the documents that Blake is holding back or Vanzan is holding back now, he can't really put it together. So he can't bring, especially before Lyman, he can't bring something that's not completely put together, making absolute sense
and relevant,
completely legally sound, that you can't pick apart. He's not about to bring a half done idea before Judge Lyman. I mean, that would be, he'll get it dismissed with prejudice and not get a chance, you know. So, but I have full faith that in the background, he's got something big planned. It's just there are limitations to law, and it's so frustrating to watch it happen because the justice system is not always just. I find there are so many little stupid laws that get in the way that block justice that sometimes I feel like the whole book of law needs thrown out and rewritten.
It really does. And that's not unique in America. That's not just, it's not that it's just a corrupt system or, something's gone wrong with the American justice system. Not at all. We have problems here. They're all around the world. Nothing's perfect. There are flaws to everything. I mean, no, I agree with you. There's nothing for the judge to rule on Vanzan. So because I do get it a lot as well. Like, well, why is he not doing this? Because it's not actually been put before him. I'm not in a hurry to defend him, but he can't rule on something that's not in front of him formally.
Right.
But he is a stickler for the rules.
What's that?
He is a stickler for, the procedural rules, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So.
And bending them in Blake's favor.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there, but if it's not done, I mean, we saw it with Brett's motion to intervene. It wasn't done in the right format. So, the judge said no, but then said also, this is what you need to do. Basically told Brett what you needed to do, and Brett come back and did it. So because you can't, like a non-party can't just file a motion to intervene as a letter. It's got to be formal.
Right. Right. But so that's the thing. It has to all, and Blake's holding it up by not giving him everything that he needs to make the case to prove abusive process. But it drives me crazy that anything was dismissed with prejudice, with the judge knowing that this is in the background, especially once Jennifer Abel brought Stephanie Jones in as third party and made the accusations that actually had criminal charges possible. 3 federal, 1 state. That's a big deal.
But actually, no, he's not ruled on those because he's technically.
But what I mean is, if something comes of this, he knew all the evidence that was on the CRD complaint in the first place, all the evidence that's in her lawsuit came from messages that she got in this way. And now there's not, in civil cases, there's not that fruit of the poisonous tree like there is in criminal. Like, evidence can be tainted, it can be bad, it can be all these things and still be accepted in civil until there are things like wiretapping.
Yeah.
That is a whole different story, even in civil, and it can be thrown out even in civil if it was a crime committed to get it, and if it was a federal crime like that. That's kind of what I've been working on in the background is coming at it, but I really need to have that, like, somebody check that with me, to see if but I've got this whole stack of stuff I've looked up to really deep dive this topic, because when it comes to things like wire fraud
Mm.
or wiretapping, and this kind of stuff, it does fall under a specific type of category. And and the judge knows this. So if that evidence got thrown out somehow, there's no case. So that's what really bothers me about it being dismissed with prejudice.
Yeah. No, I
Because
do. I
he can
agree.
say you can't correct this, but he knows that there's something weird about all of the stuff that she has to prove her case.
Yeah.
So yeah, that to me was weird. And his whole stretch, I almost did just a little video short about his little stretch to keep choice of law as New York for the New York Times. The way he bent over backwards at one point, what he uses to keep it there is saying that some of the movie was filmed in New York. But technically, that's not true. Blake and Justin did not film in New York. There were scenes shot in the background of New
Yeah.
York. That was just film crew
Wasn't
going
it
out.
New Jersey? Like,
Yeah, the actual cast filmed in Jersey. And I think they said there might have been something in Boston. I was looking that up. There are some New York scenes, but they don't include any of the actors. They never physically had to go to. He took a line that she said something about being happy to film in New York, something. She lives in New York, and it's very close to New Jersey. So her comment had nothing to do with actual filming of the movie in New York. She didn't film any part of the movie in New York. The only scenes of New York were like going into a scene. There's a background shot of a New York view in
yeah.
the background, but physically, her and Justin were not there
I mean,
to
I
film.
think
So to me, he was just trying to find a reason to keep choice of law New York for the New York Times, because because they have more protections in New York than anywhere else in the country. They overstep the Constitution in New York, and only in New York. It's impossible to win a case against the New York Times in New York, because they've been around since like 1854. They've won so many cases. They're a big business. I'm sure there's lobbying going on. And so everything has been put in place. But I would love to see Clarence Thomas, a Supreme Court justice, and I forget who the other one is. I've got it written down. They have gone on the record officially in decisions and said that the actual malice standard needs to be changed. And he said the reason is because that the Sullivan versus the New York Times, which is the case that decides everything, was decided in 1964. And he says we don't live in the same world that we lived in 1964. And that is so true. But even that decision in 1964, it has been bolstered by so many things, and what it's done is created what we have. We have people that can put these stories out, destroy people's lives based on nothing. And the stretch that they used, the original thing was, you're privileged if you report on judicial proceedings. And it should be that way. They should be free if something's happening in court. Just like you and I, we benefit from that privilege. That means we can take these legal filings and we can talk about them, and no one can sue us for doing it. And that's good. But then they stretched it to be documents. It wasn't even a judicial proceeding. It was a document, but that's covered as well.
Yeah.
And then it gets stretched to, well, in her own article, she says that she read thousands of pages of texts and emails. That is an absolute admission that you did not base your article specifically on a judicial proceeding, that there were other things that you used for your article. So in my opinion, they stepped out of privilege. But in New York, they're never gonna go after the New York Times. They're
No,
always gonna win. And it needs changed. And it's a case like this that I feel like needs to go to the Supreme Court, because there's two justices that have been vocal about saying it needs changed. And then there's a third one. She wrote an article about malice, kind of along those lines, but it was before she became a justice. It was when she was still a judge or an attorney. I can't remember which. So since she's been a justice, she's not gone on the record and said it.
Yeah.
But I think when you've just given people, there's never a situation where just absolute power is good. There always needs to be a balancer there. Otherwise, you get stuff like this where someone can just, without a second thought, completely ruin someone else's life or reputation.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to file a correction. They've never come back and said, hey, this is how the case is going, or given anything to counter what they've said. And it just seems wrong to me.
Oh, it certainly feels wrong. It really does. I mean, I think one of the big questions is because obviously next week is the deadline for the 30 days for an appeal at this stage. I don't think he's going to. I don't know what you think. I don't think they're going to appeal.
I had hoped. Yeah, I don't think so. At first I was thinking that might be what he was going for.
No, I don't. Because if you do it now, right, it's on issue of law. If they leave it until later on, then they can raise an appeal on issue of fact, an issue of law. And I think they're more likely to do that. I think what he's going to do now is and I spoke to Omar about this last night on his live stream, and we kind of had the same thought. Was I don't love this judge at all, and I'm not saying for 1 second I'm not saying he didn't do anything in Blake's favor. He did, but I think it could turn out to be a bit of a blessing that the claims were dismissed, because now Baldoni is not on the hook for the treble damages for a start, and Friedman and his team can now focus on the defense. But I also think they have something going on with Vanzan up their sleeve, and I think an abusive process is possibly going to come from that.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I think too.
And I think that's the bigger thing, because it's making me sit, right? When you look at everything, right? You mentioned Vanzan, right? She's not gone on a victory lap after the dismissal, which is weird. But not only that, you had so many videos on the TikTok which were silenced or muted, especially not actually Golden's, but the ones specifically that referred to Vanzan.
I remember there was a bunch of them got taken down and muted. Yep.
And something, and the company itself is now no longer being represented by Manat. It's now got its own new law firm, which specialize in litigation malpractice or legal advice malpractice. And I'm questioning, is there something, right? Is what we've got with Vanzan right now with this lawsuit, is it the real tip of the iceberg, right? And underneath, there's actually a whole web of corruption that they really don't want getting out, and that is why they're being very quiet.
I think so, because she had started going out and doing, like, being pictured here and there, photographed here and there, not pictured, and she started doing public appearances again and making all these statements, and now nothing.
And him as well. I mean, he's out of the lawsuit entirely.
Well, he got that, whatever that honor is in Canada. Did you see that? Oh, I was so disgusted.
Oh,
I
isn't
couldn't
that the
even read the
Times
article. I
one?
couldn't
Is
read
it?
I couldn't. What's that?
Is that the Times one for maximum effort?
No, from Canada.
They gave him an honor.
I don't know
They
what
should be
it's called.
embarrassed of him.
Yeah, they gave him what does someone in the chat know what I'm talking about? It just happened,
Oh,
but I
is it
was
like
too disgusted to read it.
was it like
He
the Order of Canada or something like that? I thought
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
what I
yeah,
was
yeah.
saying.
It's something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
If
that sounds
someone
fun.
has it. Yeah, I saw Bushbirds asked about no, people don't win against New York Times.
No, and that logic with the New York Times is exactly what happened here with Depp and the Sun, basically, because the Sun was owned by Rupert Murdoch, and that's
The
what went
Order
into
of
the end.
Canada, someone said.
I thought
Yeah.
that happened before the lawsuit, though.
No, I saw him with a Canadian. We don't want to. Yeah, I saw
Not
him
Welsh. We
with
don't
the
want
big
him in
medal.
Wales either.
He got a medal put on. It was in the picture, but I was too disgusted to read the article. I didn't read it. Yeah, I took a day off yesterday. I went and saw the new Jurassic World. That was amazing. It was so good.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
It was really good. I think it was the best one since the very first original.
Yeah.
In my opinion, so the last 3 had gotten a little bit too silly, like when they let the dinosaurs just go into the world. That was so silly. No refund. Send him back. But
we've got him in Wales now as well because he's bought a football
oh
team.
yeah,
So,
with his team.
yeah, which means then he brings her as well. So like I'm half Welsh.
Oh, I got some Welsh too. I've got
Oh,
some
have
Welsh.
you?
Yep.
Oh, you
I've
should have
never
been
been
there
there
for
though.
Eco Stream, right? Honestly, I was playing videos trying to teach everyone. Not that I can say it myself. The longest train station in Europe. A really, really, really long Welsh word. And we just started bringing up, speaking in Welsh kind of words in the middle of Eco Stream. It was really random.
Yeah, that was cute. That was a really good one. I really
Oh,
enjoyed
and
it. Getting to know her and see her stuff.
she is so gorgeous, though, and she's
She
amazing to talk
is. Oh
to.
my goodness, she's beautiful.
I could have talked to her. Well, I do. I mean, I talked to her for hours, but like I could have just gone on and on and on about all her talents and her career and everything.
Yeah,
And
she is so talented.
that was like really important because obviously Brett's name is kind of becoming really well known because of all these filings and what us content creators are putting out as a collaborative effect. But it's like Aiko's name's kind of kept aside from it a little
Yeah,
bit,
I love
which
that
is a protection thing. But she needed a spotlight on her,
she
just
did.
her.
Because
So I
she's
think
amazing.
she is.
I
Oh my
got
god, she's
Go ahead.
amazing. No, I was just saying she is the nicest, one of the nicest people I've ever spoken to, one of the most talented people I've ever spoken to.
Yeah, in so many ways. I found her IMDb page, and she's quite
It's
accomplished.
impressive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you'd never know. She's so humble.
Yeah, she is. And I know that she stepped back a little bit from a lot of stuff, but she's like we were talking, like the artwork I do, like how it's done for my channel, the logos and banners and everything, the little cards that are done, the thumbnails for the videos and all that. The owl, Newton the owl, all
The
of that.
owl was so cute.
I know, wasn't he? We're
So
doing an
cute.
animation on him with him for like an education segment of my channel.
I saw that. That's such a cute idea.
I know. I just think it's going to be. We're calling it Newton's law.
I love it.
So we're getting really kind of. I had this concept, and I was like, oh, I really want, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an owl, but one that looks intelligent. In my head, I had the owl from Sword in the Stone. I genuinely did. But yeah, she literally lifted it out of my head.
It's so cute.
Put it down, and when I first saw him, I was like, oh my god. I have to get like a plushie made of it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I know. So merch is coming.
Yeah, there you go. Some new
Yeah.
merch.
So today we have Friedman's law firm has been subpoenaed by Blake Lively for this has got to be the wildest subpoena I have ever seen
Ridiculous.
in like over 20 years of my legal career. Right, to ask an opposing counsel for not only their mobile phone records and for everyone in the entire company, but also the business accounts, the business financial accounts.
And that's privileged.
That's,
I mean,
oh my
it's
God.
such a ridiculous ask. I remember when Alex's attorneys tried to make a witness out of the prosecutor just to get him off the case. They tried to make him a witness to something because they didn't want him on the case. These people, they're just tricks and tactics and bullying and nastiness. I haven't seen any kind of amazing skill.
No. But they did the same thing though with Johnny Depp's lawyer as well. Like after his during the UK trial, actually, Adam Waldman, he was kind of kicked off the case when he got to Virginia, not long after he arrived in Virginia, because they made him a witness.
Yeah, it's just another dirty trick that bad lawyers use, in my opinion.
But I mean, Friedman is allowed to make these statements. I don't think he's gone too far. The fact he's quite passionate, and I mean,
but he's backed off a long time now.
Massively, yeah, no, he has, and I mean, Gottlieb has said plenty as well. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he has. They've gone on record and made statements, saying, "Oh, look,
especially about the Taylor Swift thing." They went.
I know. Calling subpoenas, just standard subpoenas to witnesses as abusive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they made their own statements, and Friedman actually, no, it wasn't Friedman. Actually, I think it was Ellen put in the motion to quash the subpoena. Well, surely Blake Lively doesn't intend that her own counsel would be subpoenaed because they have also made statements.
Mm-hmm.
But she's trying to get that subpoena over in front of Lyman. She hasn't bothered with any other subpoena that's out of state, but that one she wants in front of Lyman.
Mm. Yeah, they want, because they know it's not going to go as well for them anywhere else as it will for him, in front of him.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it so much.
But have you?
I tried not to say it. I remember you and I did a stream and we were being so careful what we said, and we're like, he was making rulings that were starting to be questionable, and we were so good, you and I, we said, well, it's legally sound, blah blah blah. We tried so hard for so long to.
I feel a sense of. I'm obviously my own person. I have my own thoughts and feelings and opinions about things, but at the same time, I'm a lawyer. I'm an officer of the court, and I've kind of got to, as lawyers do have, there's an obligation to uphold the integrity of the judicial system.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a bit more outspoken because the American courts are not part of my own judicial system. However, I do work with international courts and jurisdictions. So I'm kind of like, I can say a bit more than maybe not actually Golden or maybe Omar would say, but then I'll be like, however, there's kind of a sort of an expectation, I guess, I feel professionally to kind of not to go and bash a judge or to, to call him this biased and corrupt and everything. I haven't got to corrupt, I'll be honest. That's me personally.
Yeah, I haven't actually said the word.
No, you haven't.
But
no,
people have in my comments, and I've
not
disagreed with them.
So did I. But
I don't think he's being paid off, and or anything like that. I just think he's extremely biased.
Biased, yes, I can get to biased. And I have actually said, especially with this Vanzan subpoena, right, because they've actually whittled it down now to it's just one thing, which is the communications between Vanzan and Stephanie Jones that prompted the subpoena. That is not an unreasonable thing at all. Yes, they'll go and get it from Jones, but they want it from Vanzan as well because they've obviously got a right. They don't trust either party, so
and
they
said,
we
want to compare.
We want to compare.
Well,
exactly.
How much plainer can they be?
No, exactly.
We want to get it from here and see what are the differences, because they probably think exactly what I've thought all along.
Yeah.
That we know that when all this conspiring was supposed to have been happening, that Stephanie Jones was still representing Wayfair.
Yeah.
And that she was doing things, and this is all in the filings, she was doing things that Justin and Jamie said, that's too far. Don't do that. Please stop doing that.
Yeah.
This was Stephanie. And she said, oh, I'm going to contact my contacts at, was it Daily Mail? I think it was Daily Mail. She said, I'm going to reach out to my contacts. And they're like, no, don't do it. Stop it. Stand down. And we'll pay you to stand down, So there's stuff in there that would implicate her that I'm sure she did not hand over to Blake.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
I have always felt like from the time I found out how this subpoena thing took place, before we even knew anything about Vanzan, when we knew there was a weird subpoena out there and that it had come from Stephanie, my first question was, did Blake extract this phone herself? Because if you want untainted evidence, if you want to make sure your stuff is authenticated, verified, you're not going to go take a stack of stuff from somebody else, what they've done, because they could have done anything to it, especially when you're talking about a player like Stephanie.
And so
if she didn't get this extracted herself, she does not have authenticated evidence.
No.
And they know that. So they probably want to compare what everybody has to see, what did you get? What did you get? And then there's something missing in the metadata. Did you see that?
Yes, I did, because I actually offered to help them find it.
Our metadata expert.
Yeah, no, that tells me that it's Stephanie Jones that extracted it. Now that metadata, now this is where I think there may be some good news actually. So the metadata was missing in some. Now I think that is the date, because all of this would have gone over by electronic files. I guarantee if there's thousands of pages of it, it's almost certainly going to be electronic.
Right.
And obviously you had Edgeworth. Yeah, you had Edgeworth, who were the company who actually did the extraction services anyway, right? So, okay, they're not going to be subpoenaed now in the Lively lawsuit because the judge didn't enforce that, because Stephanie Jones, in fairness, alleged attorney-client privilege and work product, and she cited, I actually hired them for something else, which, and I'm anticipating a lawsuit. And we now know that is related to the subpoena that is now in
California.
Yep. So the metadata that's missing is, I reckon it's going to be the date, because I think the date is before the 1st of October, the date of the Vanzan subpoena.
I think she did it all the first day because
I think
Leslie Sloan called Melissa Nathan. The phone log is there in the evidence. And she said, I've seen the texts. Yes. And we're going to sue you.
I 100% agree. But this is where now, if she does start, like a proper lawsuit against, it sounds like it would be against Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel and the 2 tag employees, Case and Coslow.
Yes, she's really after them. But did you see?
Yeah.
One of them used to work for
her ex-employee. Yeah,
I didn't know that till I saw the California documents.
Yeah, because
that's why she hates her so much, because she left her company.
And did you know that Melissa Nathan was also they'd agreed that she was going to join Jones Works, and that all fell through.
Oh, so that's why she hates Melissa. I always
Yes, I
wondered.
did I did another thread on that.
I've got to
Yeah,
go read.
I know
Yeah.
I'm just giving my entire ex account, but yeah, no, I covered that in graphic detail. I found so much.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm
I
gonna
did
have to.
know that. I think it's Case used to
You
be.
need a proper blog, Leanne, where it's
I know,
all like
right?
there together. Because X gets hard to get through all the threads.
I need to do a timeline. That's a good
Yeah.
idea. Right? Yeah,
Yes. Oh, I love
yeah.
timelines.
Do a timeline of Stephanie Jones and
Oh, I
like
would love to see it.
yeah, I think we'll do that and do like a Venn diagram kind of thing of who it
Yes, I love
mind
charts
gap.
and timelines and
Yeah,
all that
who's
stuff.
who.
My
Right,
hyper
okay,
focused
I'll put
brain.
that in my to-do list. But I think
There you go.
Edgeworth might come back into the chat again
Yeah,
because
a lot of this stuff just might. And
yeah,
it's yeah, that's what I said when I did the thing about the episode about Stephanie. I was like, "Thank you.
I've
Thank
been
you,
told that
Stephanie, for
I need a
taking this to
website.
California." Yes, you do.
I
A
do.
a proper blog where you've got you can host documents there and then have
Yeah,
links to
that's a
them
good
and
idea.
stuff. Oh, yeah,
I
'cause
might
you're
get a subpoena at
brilliant.
that point.
Yeah, you're brilliant, and it's kind of lost on X, and it needs to be out there and seen more because your stuff
I
is
don't know.
so
I'm trying to get it all. I'm trying to get more and more of it out because I do the sleuthing side. Obviously, I work with people like Anita and I work with CJ and
Mhm,
Little Nomad. There's quite a few people. When I do some sleuthing, I'll kind of collaborate with all of them, and
mhm,
then obviously then I have the added bonus that I can interpret the legal filings too. So
mhm.
I saw a gap on X at least anyway that no one seemed to be covering the filings on X, so I kind of fell into it. Um,
Yeah, it's good.
but I agree. There's a lot of
Makes sense.
information. You should see my bookmarks on X. Actually, it's just like there's about 50 bookmarks of things like I've got an answer for everything. Um,
Yep, I love it.
but
I love that kind of stuff.
but yeah, I do need a website, and I don't know. I might speak to someone about that.
Yeah,
Um,
you need one.
but I
Make
think
sure you set it because you can set it up anonymously so that somebody because some of
yeah.
them are traceable, so make sure you have it
Well,
anonymously,
I've
yeah.
told everyone I'm going to do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you could put all your charts and I love the visual stuff. That's why I get annoyed. I know some people but it's very few, thankfully, but a few people have made a big deal about, those of us who don't go live and show our faces, which is like, what does my face have to do with the story? I'm not the story. You don't
Yeah,
need to see my face. And if you can't trust me based on what I put out, if you have to see my face to trust me, then you have a problem and just go away, But
but
I
that's
don't
not true though,
I
because
get
not actually
so
Gordon
frustrated.
gets
I
the
get
same
so
thing.
and you know what? You don't know what's happened in my past.
No.
Just like with you, you've been upfront about yours. I
Yeah.
haven't. You know, not everybody and I don't wanna be recognized in public. I don't wanna be famous. I'm not looking for any of that. I like to share information that I find.
Yeah.
I don't wanna worry that while I'm out, somebody's gonna see me and know who I am, and, I have no desire for that at all. But I also get so annoyed, and this is just a me thing, I think, when I, because I like to learn. I like documentaries, and when
Mm.
you're watching a documentary, they're often doing slideshows of what they're talking about, and then they will have certain people come and give a little segment or an interview or something like that, but when I don't want to look at somebody's face and they're bouncing around and it's like, get a green screen. They're not expensive. I have one. Get a green screen. It's not expensive. But the people are glitching out because they don't have a proper green screen behind them. And they're bouncing at the bottom and they're pointing and then all of a sudden they're at the top. I want to see the document that you're showing. I don't want to see your face. I don't care about your face. So, like, to me, I'm the exact opposite of I don't care what your face is. I wanna hear what you're saying, and I wanna see what you're talking about. But, and I love charts and graphs and things like that, but that's just me. But I forgot why I got on this tangent in the first place.
No,
I
yeah,
know I had
you're right. You're right though. I mean, I do show my face. Like I'm not on camera, but I mean, there's a picture of me. That's me.
Mhm,
That's my real face.
mhm,
I have been very upfront about my history. I'll
mhm,
openly talk about it because that's the reason why I'm following the case in the first place. So if I can't say that,
mhm,
then why am I even here?
mhm.
But um, I've also found this quite therapeutic actually. The reason I'm not on camera, but I give everything else, but I'm just not on animated on camera is one, especially without a crystal ball, I've seen so many memes of her. I don't want to become a meme. I always say that.
Yeah,
I don't want to become a meme.
yeah,
But
and
also this is my first time putting myself back out there. So I'm still building myself up a little bit.
right. Well, I
And
had a stalker that was
huh?
never found. He was never caught.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting my face out there.
Mhm.
He
And
messed
that's
with my car to
yeah.
try to cause me to be stalled and stuck. It was awful.
We I mean, I completely get that. It had like I say, I've had my car messed with by my ex. I've had my phone, you know, absolutely stripped, and you know, the number there were over 70 apps in one go at one point on my phone, which did everything from either the surface level of monitoring and GPS tracking and where are you and all that, right down to my ex-husband could actually control my phone remotely more than I could control it whilst it was in my hand. It was absolutely like there
That's
was
terrifying.
there was it was quite bad. It was quite bad, and I've been when especially when the amended complaint came out for Jen Abel against Stephanie Jones. Like when I did my video on that, my weekly recap video on that, I really empathized with her because in that moment, I knew exactly how she felt when all of that, how she must have felt when she found out
Yeah,
all of that.
and they had
And
and I've talked about that so many times and you've actually been through. I've never had that happen, but everything is on your phone, and just imagine the
oh
thought
yeah,
that these people are passing around the intimate details of your life. It's too much.
yeah, it is it was really like because like you say is you put your access to your banks, to your emails, to your various social media accounts. You got photos, you got messages. Your employment stuff can be on there as well. Or your business if you own a business. Your children's photos. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, my ex-husband went one further. The day after my grandmother died, and she'd been in hospital for 4 months, and he kept taking the car off me, so I couldn't even go and visit her. And she died, and she must have thought that I didn't care because I could not get over to see her because she was in Wales. I was back in England at this point. She must have gone out of this world thinking I didn't care. And the very next day, he did this thing to my phone. It's called flashing, and it's where you wipe it entirely and put a whole new operating system on the phone. So it's more than a factory reset. Even police forensics cannot recover what is on there.
Oh, wow.
And all my photos, all my life of my family, my grandmother, everything, all my memories were on that phone, and he wiped a lot.
Oh, no.
And
Wow,
that's
man, you've
why
been
I'm
through.
yeah, this is why I'm so like, oh, I'm not I'm
I
still
feel so bad for Jennifer Abel too.
oh yeah, no, I do. I mean, yesterday, right, I did have a breakthrough because I've got a little group chat going with my moderator Lara, my CJ's obviously one of my best friends, and Roman and Ludwig. And I love these people so much. I really do, and I trust them implicitly. And yesterday I found on a really old device that wasn't my device. I think it might have been my my mum's, and I found some photos of myself from my modeling days.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, oh my God. And I actually put them in the group chat. I was like, oh, look what I found. I just got so excited that I had found some photos I thought were gone forever. And I
Aw.
was like, oh, I can share this. I can share this with people I love and trust. And it felt so nice because I
I can't
hadn't,
even imagine that. Wow.
yeah,
Having all that taken.
it was amazing. It was an amazing moment. Like it sounds so silly, really, but like for me, it was, oh my God, there's something he didn't take everything from me, and that was really nice. But
Aw. I can't imagine losing all my pictures. I have so many.
yeah,
My grandpa, and oh my goodness, I just worshipped my grandparents.
yeah,
He had this, Canon AE-1 camera that he got, and he was so funny. He would go from this thing to that thing, and I'm just like him, obsessed with something. At one point, it was jewelry making, and he got the whole big old rock tumbler he had out in the garage, and he made all
yeah,
this stuff. He was making candles at one point. He was raising bees. Then he got into photography, and I remember I thought his camera was so cool. So I saved up, and when I graduated, I bought myself a camera like his, and I have his camera now too. They gave it
oh,
to me when he passed because I was the one that like followed him in that stuff. So I have tens of thousands of pictures from all over. That's like so precious to me. If there was a fire, I would try to save my
oh
pictures
yeah.
before
That would be like the one thing,
anything.
even for
They
the
could have
dog and
anything
the
else.
kids.
A fire could. What's that?
Yeah, if there was a fire, it'd be like, right, get the dog and the kids, and also the photos. Everything else could just go, like, you
Yeah,
know.
I would, yeah, get my pictures, and yeah, everything else can burn. Everything else is replaceable. But
Exactly, because I know what earlier I said to you, like, is again something else. I've been quite open, but I have lupus, and with lupus I also have what's called Hughes syndrome or antiphospholipid antibody syndrome, which is a blood clotting problem that comes with lupus. And I've
yes.
had TIAs, mini strokes.
Oh,
So I've had 4 of them actually. I haven't had any for quite a long
yeah.
time because I'm on blood thinners. But like I was always worried, well, what if my sight goes, or sorry, not my sight. What if my memory goes? What if I have another one, or it's a big one and my memory goes? Like photos, they mean so much. um,
They
so
do.
yeah. So I'm been going around my family and trying to rebuild pictures and like get some stuff off them, and it's not the same, but
No.
it's something.
Yeah. I put my stuff on a cloud, at least the stuff from my phone, because I had there was something wrong with my phone, but I could still get into it. I can't
Yeah,
remember. Oh, it wouldn't connect to the data for some reason. And I had to put it in because it was still under warranty and they were going to fix it, but they told me that everything would be gone. So I got a cloud and put it all in there.
yeah.
And it took days to do that. I couldn't take it in to get fixed till I finished it because I wasn't going to lose my photos, but I'm so happy I did that because now I know that they're safe no matter what.
I mean, I
I'm sorry
couldn't.
to hear that, Joy.
Yeah, yeah, I am too, Joy. No, I
I think
couldn't do
most
that
of us.
though.
Oh,
I couldn't
go
do
ahead.
that because like I, like I had things that were also backed up on my laptops,
Mhm.
on my laptop, but he wiped that as well. So
Oh, wow.
I mean, the phone just felt a bit more personal because it had the banking app attached to it. It
Right.
had
We have
my
everything on our phones nowadays.
oh,
Everything.
absolutely, yeah. No, my phone controls my entire life. I can,
Exactly.
and that's how it is for everyone now. So like if I even accidentally lost it, if I even leave it at home, I feel lost. Because I don't even need to take my my bank cards out anymore. I can just pay with my phone, you know.
Right.
And yeah, I can do everything. But if I don't have my phone with me, then it's like, oh shit, I got to go back and get my phone. Doesn't
I
matter if I leave
try
my
to
purse.
remember what was life like before, and I can't even remember. I'm like, "What did we do? What did
Yeah,
we" It's crazy. And I'm seeing a lot in the comments, and I think that's one of the things about people who are drawn to this case. I think a
yeah,
lot of us have things that we've endured ourselves,
yeah,
and so it draws us to this case. When we see I can't stand to see injustice, I can't stand to see someone under the power of someone more powerful.
yeah.
I
No,
it's so upsetting to me, and, yeah, we just found out that I think I've told my crew before that I have lupus, and I just found out today Leanne has it as well, but
yeah,
so more things we have in common. But
yes,
it feels personal, and I think that's why people who are pro Justin, I like to say we're pro truth, but I think we're a nicer bunch of people as well because we're in it for a different reason.
absolutely. And I will say as well on the whole thing of not putting ourselves on camera. And I know, like I say, I mean, obviously I've got a photo up, so it's more of a I'm building up. One day I will definitely go on camera. I will.
Mhm,
It's just me finding myself again because I'm just putting myself back out there. But
mhm,
the other thing is that I don't think it will overly help anyone anyway because you've got people like Not Actually Golden who go on camera, put their face on camera, but don't give their real name.
mhm.
And you know, people have attempted to dox her. We've had
Yeah,
people dox us. We've had the
yeah,
same person doxing us. I've
yeah,
had a
or
whole
at
thing
least trying to.
without a crystal ball. There's a cat Ortegas of the world, and it's like, well,
If
you know,
people were normal and didn't do stuff like that, it might be different, but you
yeah, no,
there
absolutely,
are so many people out there that are just unwell.
yeah.
It
They or
doesn't
they,
matter. There's nobody on the internet that I've ever had a beef with or had say nasty things to me that I've ever had the feeling that I wanna find who they are in real life. That
no.
doesn't even pop in my head.
Well,
I
we hadn't
couldn't
even
care
spoken
less.
to Cat Ortega, had we? And she was looking for us.
Yeah, I thought that creeped me out so much,
I know, me too.
especially with, like I told you about in my past, and someday my whole
Yeah,
story will come out, but it's so strange to me that people care that much because they're not trying to find you for any good purpose. They have a bad motive. They either wanna try to discredit you or find something in your life that they can make fun of.
yeah,
If I was ever found I don't even have a speeding ticket. I
no,
have
I
I've
don't.
not I don't have skeletons in my closet. I've been a tried to be a good person. I've never been arrested. I've never been in any kind of trouble. There's nothing that you're gonna find interesting about me. But, so it's just weird. And I've never had the feeling like I've gotta know who you are.
Do you know what I've had actually? Is I've had people, well, they peddled around a fake LinkedIn profile, which the police actually looked into it and confirmed that was something that my ex-husband, because he set up profiles in my name, and then he would be like, oh,
Oh, this
like he
guy's trouble.
set up a dating profile for me and be like, oh my god, look, see, you're trying to cheat on me, and he would play all this kind of crap. And I showed Lara and Brett and Eco the text messages, where he'd be like challenging me angrily, and I'd be like, but I've never seen this profile in my life. I don't, at the time back in 2017, but this LinkedIn profile was just one that slipped under the radar, right? And they were trying to say, oh look, see, it's evidence that you're not actually a lawyer. And then they were like, I had a whole weekend of someone like really
I
pushing, like,
remember.
yeah, they were trying to find out because in the UK we're not called attorneys. We have solicitors, we have barristers, we have legal executives, right? So there's 3 ways to qualify, and they wanted to know which route I'd taken, because they're all regulated by their own regulatory authority, and they wanted to know which way I'd gone down. And then they found out then that Newton wasn't my surname; it's not my real surname. So then they wanted my real name. I was like, the only reason you want to know my name and which route I took to qualify, and I took 2 routes, not just one, but the only reason you want that is so you can go make frivolous complaints or something, or start harassing, and trying. And I was like, why do you need that? Because even if I said, look, here's the evidence that I'm a lawyer in the UK, and I carefully use the word lawyer so as not giving away what I am exactly, then if I say to you, right, this is what I am, and the only reason you want that information, because I will still not be good enough, because I am not a US attorney, as it keeps getting pointed out to me by some people. So the only other reason you need that is you don't need to verify my credentials. You don't, because I am not a US attorney. So I'm, if you need to be qualified to talk about a US lawsuit, then I'm not qualified from that perspective.
But it's ridiculous, that whole.
I know, but the only reason you could want that is to go start harassing me, harassing an employer, and I'm not prepared. I spent 7 years at university, and it cost me the best part of about £50,000, and that was just the postgraduate. There's absolutely no way I'm gonna let
somebody destroy that.
Someone I don't know, who has an issue, go and start making a problem. I mean, I've taken some time out because I have a daughter with a nasogastric tube. Again, that is actually something I've been quite open and honest with as well. So I've taken some time out after my divorce, and I'm taking time out because I've got a young child who needs round-the-clock care. And that's where I am. So I can do this from home, and it suits me, it suits her. But I want the door open to go back and do back into practice if I want. I may not. I'm actually enjoying this because, it's less demanding than working in a law firm. But I'm not having, I'm not having people making frivolous, vexatious kind of complaints and, just causing me problems. I'm not doing anything here that warrants that. I'm giving up my time, and I pay for my own documents on Pacer because I'm not monetized on anything. So, and that's absolutely fine. I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because I'm enjoying it, and because I'm making friends and, meeting like-minded people.
Yeah, you feel like you're doing something. And I love digging into this stuff. I would be doing this whether I was sharing it or not. And I was doing it, and I started sharing it, and I was surprised people found it interesting and started watching, and I thought, well, good, I can share it with people who are interested. And if you're not, that's okay too.
It is nice that they show an interest in the judicial process, I like talking about it. And what I like, and I know that I do have this kind of unique vantage point, is I can sit and say, well, in America we have depositions, but in the UK we don't. You
don't have depositions?
We don't know. No, that's seen as a waste of time. We just go straight to trial and grill them on the stand.
Oh, wow.
It seems like an unnecessary cost.
Oh.
So yeah, we do. We just.
But it's so good because then you can catch them if they lie on the stand.
Exactly.
And it helps you know what to prepare, how to prepare for your trial.
Yeah, but we kind of we have an almost, it's like a wing it attitude. It really works though, but it saves a lot of costs because we don't do discovery the same way either. We just kind of, we request information. It's not discovery in that sense. We don't send out interrogatories and all this kind of stuff. We're just like, right, but we want this information. We want these emails from this date to this date. Send, give them here. And that's, as far as it really goes. And then we send out, witness summons, subpoenas, for witnesses to appear in a civil case, and then they just give evidence, or they give a statement, and they may not be needed on the stand. And it's much more simplified and quicker.
I want to watch sometime. I want to come there and watch. I was there last. It just came up in my memories today because my OneDrive will, every day it comes up like what you did on this day in the past years, and it shows your pictures from that day. And I was in London on this day. I don't remember if it was last. I think it was probably 2 years ago. It was, yeah, I can't remember which year it was, but I was looking through it, and I was walking past. I was by the Tower Bridge, and there was some big courthouse there, and there were the guys in the wigs, those silk wigs.
So those are the barristers.
The barristers, and it must have been a big story because the news was there. There was a news crew filming them, and they were talking about it. And I always meant to look up. I thought, I want to look up what case I just walked past, because it must be big if the news crew's here. And then I walked away and forgot about it until I saw it today and saw the pictures of them in their wigs. But I thought that would be super cool if there's some big case. I would love to go see how it goes there.
I mean, there's so I've got a question here now, so I'll just quickly run over this. We don't have attorneys. We don't call we're not called attorneys in the UK. I think that's an American thing, but we do have barristers. So we've got barristers and solicitors are probably the bigger ones, and the difference between them is barristers are self-employed, and they have usually gone down a different qualification. They do what's called a pupillage. So you do the law degree, and then they do like a vocational training, which is the bar vocational qualification, and then they get a pupillage, which is like a period of training, on the job training in one of the inns of court. They are self-employed, and they're usually specialists in a particular area as well. Your solicitors they're less trial. Solicitors still go to trial in this country, but they are less trial. They usually deal with kind of all the like arbitration and settlements, contracts, wills, and things like that, divorces. They usually often refer to a barrister, refer a case to a barrister if it's going to go to court, or if it needs something specialized. So when I got divorced, sorry, my dog's shaking. When I got divorced, I had a solicitor to deal with like the negotiating bits. But when we went to like an actual hearing in the court, it was a barrister then who was appointed to kind of represent me. So it's like having it's like seeing I don't know what they're called in America. You know, when you see a doctor, like a general family doctor, who then refers you on then to like a gastroenterologist or a specialist. It's that kind of system. So solicitors are usually employees of the law firm, unless they are owners or partners of the law firm. And barristers are self-employed and more specialized in one area, whereas solicitors are knowledgeable in many areas, but not as highly technical and complex. If that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. I didn't know the difference.
Yeah, and there's actually, and like I said, there is a third branch as well in the UK, which is called the legal executive, and they normally qualify through an organization called CILEX, the Chartered Institute of Legal Executives. And what they do is you normally have to have like a law degree, and then you do courses with CILEX, and then your employment also counts towards, and then a qualification, and then like you put it all together, and then you kind of qualify that way as well. You can become like a legal executive, it's called. Solicitors do the legal practice course and then do a 2-year training contract after the law degree. So that's the routes of various qualifications. I think the legal practice course now has been replaced with the SQE, which I'm not entirely sure what that stands for. It's the solicitor's qualifying examination. So yeah, so that's now, so there's no more LPCs, I don't think. I think it's now been changed to the SQE.
Oh, okay.
That's quite a long-winded thing, but
no, it's interesting. I used to watch the show Silk, the British show. Did you ever watch that?
I didn't know.
That's a good one. It's I love British shows. I had what did I? Acorn for a while, and then I have what's the BritBox, because I think British has the best legal stuff and murder stuff, all those mysteries and stuff. I always think they're better written by British authors. So I'm looking back through my pictures. It was July the 3rd, 2 years ago. So I'll have to look up and see what the case was.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually a video. Hold on, I'm gonna watch this, and if it's good, I'll share it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna mute for just a second.
Sure. That was a really good program. I used to watch that too.
All right, I'm going to try to share this to my... They're just two quick little video clips I took as I walked past. Why isn't that coming up? There we go. It's probably not even worth it. They're just tiny little tiny little clips that I just grabbed, but
just while I'm remembering, can I just let people know, because I was due to go live with Lauren in half an hour.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No. She's actually had to push back to Monday or Tuesday next week. We're still working out, because there's Ashley, Brianna, Eve as well is joining us, so it's going to be the three of us. But she's not feeling too great at the moment, so she's actually had to postpone to start next week. So I just want to let people know that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm good.
So she's not feeling good?
No, I think she's tired. I think she's overdone it a little bit, stayed up late, so.
Okay. I think I can just present them from here. Let me try. They're just silly little. Oh, I think because you're hosting, I think you would have to
Oh, yeah, no, I can
add
do
it.
that.
Can
So
you
which
see them?
one? Yeah, I can see them. Which one?
Okay. Yeah, either of them. They're just real quick little. As I walked by, I took a quick.
Oh, yeah.
You see them?
You
I
know,
don't
right?
even know what the courthouse was.
Where were you? I'd not say no, but
It's real close to the London Tower Bridge.
okay. Was it the Old Bailey?
I have no idea. I just saw a film
Okay.
crew and I saw him in his little wig, and I thought it was cool.
Do you know, right, how much these the wigs and the gowns cost? They cost like hundreds, thousands, even pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
It's silk. The silk wig. Just having a smoke.
I like the David Attenborough commentary there.
Yeah, that was it. So all that for just a few little seconds.
Yeah, Monica says the Old Bailey. Yeah, I think it was.
Is that
Yeah, I
so?
mean,
If
it's
if we
usually
look,
they're the big cases that go there. That's the Old
what's the
Bailey is
Old
like a
Bailey?
sorry.
What's the Old Bailey?
It's like a it's hold on, sorry, I'm just messaging Lauren back 1 second.
Mm-hmm. I thought I had gotten. I
Well,
thought I'd filmed the film crew, but
so the
I
Old
don't see
Bailey
it.
is it's like the central criminal court basically of so the jurisdictions in the UK. The UK is split into four, yeah. So we've got England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Now Scotland and Northern Ireland, they have their own laws and their own kind of judicial processes. England and Wales are kind of combined. So, like, I qualified in the law of England and Wales. I can
Mm-hmm.
practice in those two countries. I cannot practice in Scotland or Northern Ireland. I have to do additional qualifications.
Oh.
I know. I am, though, but because I qualified years ago, um, technically I qualified, for the for EU law and international law as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Oh, I
bizarre that
remember
I
you said
can.
that.
Yeah, so I could practice in, EU law, but I can't practice in Scotland, technically. But on EU matters, I can practice in EU law. I can't just, wander over to, Norway and start, representing cases in a Norwegian court. So the Old Bailey is the central criminal court, basically, of England and Wales. It's the Crown Court is what we call it. It's
Okay.
it's a well-known court. It's quite famous. It's often what they use on like you see either high profile or very complex cases. But yeah, it's very traditional.
Oh, it
So
looks like okay. Now that I know the name of the courthouse, I looked it up, and there was one court. One oh, there's several.
yeah, there's loads of
Oh,
like courts
oh
in the
yeah.
building.
So there
That's
was
quite
one.
common though with all courts, at all levels.
Right.
Like even the
They have,
magistrates, which are the lower end of the magistrates courts are the lower criminal courts. They can only issue sentences of up to 6 months. They can't go any higher than that. Any higher, and it has to go to the Crown Court.
oh,
And
okay.
most towns have a Crown Court, but the Old Bailey is like the creme de la creme court. Yeah, it's just like it's a very traditional, very notorious court, and but even the magistrates courts have like several courts within them. the local magistrates. And that's the same with all buildings. It's not just one court.
Okay, I walked by at 4:26 p.m. So there were cases at 10. There was a man accused of attempting to kill 4 pedestrians in a hit and run. In court 2 at 10, there was a police operation that netted up to 184 million pounds worth of cocaine. So this is the big stuff.
Yeah.
Court 3 at 10 had attempted murder of a 16-year-old. That was a stabbing.
Yeah,
so
there was a lot of
stabbed to
murders.
death an aspiring lawyer who was 22 and attempted to kill a 16-year-old friend. Wow, there's so big cases there.
Oh yeah. These are not your trivial, cases. This is not, like a minor case of breaching the peace or anything. These are murder cases. These are serious cases. These are Class A drug cases.
Yeah, there's another one that was drugs, and they had military-grade encrypted chat room for the drug dealers. They were plotting a murder.
Yeah.
2 stabbed to death. Another stabbed to death. Oh, a lot of stabbings.
Yes.
Explosive devices in Gray's Inn, in the heart of London's legal quarter.
So Gray's Inn is one of the Gray's Inn is one of the inns of courts I was talking about. When barristers do pupilages, which is kind of the vocational, the kind of on the job training before you fully qualify. Gray's Inn is one of those inns of courts.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
So wow. So the it could have been any of those cases that I walked past that day.
Yeah, they're big cases that go to this.
That's really cool.
I know.
I always wanted to look it up, but I had no idea where to begin. But I learned the name of it now. 2 years later, I finally found out.
Do you know, right?
That's so
I tell you what, yeah, the Old Bailey, right? It's been around forever. It has. It's I can't remember how old it is. It's like the 17th century, so 1600. Yeah, so it's a Tudor court, right? There are some weird cases that have been in there. I always go off on a tangent in these live streams about something unusual, which is completely not related to the Balgony case. I thought it's a
nice break, though, to get away from it.
It really is. But so in 1677, there was what is known as the case of the wagging dog.
What?
Yeah, and that came before the Old Bailey, right? And basically, what happened was an unnamed woman who was referred to in the proceedings as that monster who prostituted herself to a dog. She was sentenced to death for having carnal relations with her pet dog.
Oh no!
But no, it gets better, right? So this woman was in her 30s, and she was living in London. And the court was told that she lived in lodgings that had a hole in the wall through which her neighbours often watched her getting frisky with the dog, right? The dog was brought into the courtroom and he was set on the bar before the prisoner. And the animal, while looking at the accused, apparently wagged its tail and made actions like it wanted to kiss her. This is actually what happened in a 1677 court case. She was found guilty and hanged, by the way, because the dog wagged its tail.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there's been a lot of witchcraft.
So that was the evidence?
Yeah, that was the evidence. The dog came in and wagged its tail.
Oh my goodness!
There has been women who have been, obviously charged with witchcraft and all kinds of things. There was what was known as the Holborn orgy. So 1726, a woman called Margaret Clapp was prosecuted for the offence of keeping a brothel. A man called Samuel Stevens took the witness stand and stated that when he went to her house in Holborn, he found 50 men there making love to one another. And she was ordered to stand in the pillory and pay a fine of 20 marks and serve 2 years in prison. So, yeah, there's been oh my God, there are some weird things. Do you know, it's actually illegal for, have you seen the London black cabs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's illegal for them to, is it, what's the, I'm pretty sure, I think, London Hackney carriages must carry a bale of hay and a sack of oats. That is, it's not been repealed, but that is apparently still an old law. I mean, obviously no one does that.
Still on the books.
But it's still on the books, yeah. There's some wild things there. I mean, we obviously, because the UK has, has quite a rich history. And you do get some of these weird cases. I should do an episode on some weird and wild cases.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those actually have there's a following on TikTok of people going through old newspapers and reading some bizarre cases. Yeah, that would be great. I would love it.
Yeah, I should do that. I should, because I'm already like, oh, do you know what? I might look at the infamous murders, like Jack the Ripper and Lizzie Borden and the Fred and Rose West. I might do like a bit of a segment on that where I just kind of like go through that. But yeah, I could go through because there are some really bizarre laws around the world, not just in the UK. And I should do I should do an episode on that actually, because I just find stuff like this weird.
Look at how this all worked out. I
got
a message on my phone from my OneDrive that just happened to be in London. And then I go live with you and then we get to all this. I love it.
I know, right? Now I've got a business plan. And you know what? You'll have to join me with it as well. We'll have to do this together.
Sure.
I feel like if there's anyone who's gonna find unusual laws or court cases interesting, it'll be you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What's this, Monica? They finally solved who he was?
Yeah, they have. They found DNA.
How did I miss this?
It was a scarf of one of the victims. Actually, they found his DNA on it, and it was one of the people that they originally thought it. They originally considered
a suspect.
A suspect, yeah. I'm getting that.
Wow! Oh, you got to cover that.
I know, I should do, but yeah, his name was Aaron Kosminski. He was a Polish barber.
Really?
Yes. I don't know. I feel like it's like I'm really chuffed that the mystery's been solved in my lifetime, but I like the mystery as well.
Wow, that's so cool.
But
so
yeah,
hopefully they know more about this guy. They'll probably make some movies about him now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I have no doubt. He's yeah.
It's been one of the biggest of all time mysteries.
Yeah. I should do something, because if I was going to cover Jack the Ripper, then yeah, I'd probably include all the new information we have today and how they got it. But
because if he was a suspect, they probably did look some stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
At the time.
Exactly. They found it was a shawl from it was from Catherine Eddowes, one of the victims, and there was his DNA was on it. So that's descendants just kind of gave DNA and they matched. So yeah, it's pretty amazing what technology can do now.
That is amazing.
But it also makes you realize as well that how limited they were in the forensic field back then.
They really were. How many people were put to death mistakenly?
Yeah.
And how many people got away with stuff?
Yeah. It's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I'm so excited about this. I would love that. I love history and I love law, and it just comes together. And I love London.
Oh, yeah, it's
Oh my
London's
goodness.
amazing. I feel quite lucky to be, to be able to kind of have that on my doorstep. So, like, if you
Yeah.
go to London, they've got all of, like, the various museums and the tour of the London dungeons and all kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
It's so incredible to go and
It's
see all these things, and they're so well preserved as well.
They
There are
are so well
literally,
preserved. I've
stuff that's
toured
like hundreds of years old, and it's so taken care of, and
Yeah,
we cherish our
and
history.
yeah, we laugh all the time here because people can't stop basements from leaking, or like the ground settles and causes cracks in foundations, and then you go walk around stuff that Elizabeth I walked around in, or Henry VIII, and it's all still standing and it's perfect and the ground didn't settle, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how what makes that happen? But I love that. I've toured the tower so many times, and also in my pictures we've gone through Victoria and Albert's museum. Is that what it's called?
Yes, it is in
Yeah.
Kensington, yeah.
And so many different, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I should share my pictures at some point.
You absolutely should, like, I love looking at all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But
But, yeah, no, it's pretty great, and especially for kind of medieval crime and torture as well. Like, the methods of, investigation and the punishments and stuff, like,
really awful.
oh, yeah, no, like,
We
unimaginable.
Yeah, like quartered. When I found out what that meant, I was like,
Oh,
"What?
yeah.
What are you talking about?"
Well,
Oh.
that always comes around every bonfire night, because obviously with Guy Fawkes, that's what happened. He was, executed by hang, drawn, and quartering.
Oh.
And yeah, that always comes around every bonfire night, over
Mm.
here, 5th of November. Um, and the whole story of how he tried to, the gunpowder plot, and how they tried to blow up Parliament.
Mm.
It's so interesting,
You
you
have
know?
such a rich history there.
Yeah.
We haven't been around long enough to have all that stuff.
No, it's true. No,
Uh,
that's very, very true. I mean, you still have like a fascinating history. I like
Yeah.
learning about the American presidents, and just looking at
Yeah.
what each of them did, and various, like, you got your own kind of, Billy the Kid, and Annie Oakley, and I don't know. Some of them are mythological. Some of them are fictitious characters. I get that, but it's
Mhm.
like stories. Like, it's like for us, like, we've got Robin Hood from Sherwood
Mhm.
Forest.
Mhm.
So, and that's where some of the amazing stories that come from America. For me, I enjoy hearing those.
Mhm.
But I'm a big fan of kind of Wild West era.
Oh,
uh,
okay.
yeah, it's so, like, and how far America's come as well from that time frame,
Yeah.
to what it looks like now today.
Yeah, we do need a Robin Hood Moonlight Receipts. And you
Yeah.
said you learned about quartering from Braveheart. Yeah, I think a lot of us learned that stuff from movies, 'cause you heard it, but it doesn't sound so quartered, how bad can that be? And then you find out
Well,
what it really means, and
it's quite
how do
bad,
people
isn't it?
think of stuff like that?
I mean, they do, like, in all seriousness, right? And this is a very real thing. That
Or
it's not just that they quarter you. By the time they quarter you, you're very much dead anyway, so you don't feel that. But they hang you until you're nearly dead, and then they wake you up, and then they cut out your intestines, then cut out your
and
heart, cut your head off, and then they quarter you.
uh, yeah,
That was literally the treason punishment. In the sort of
and
15,
people would come and
1600s.
watch it.
Yeah, people were. Oh my god, yeah, yeah.
It's so
In the
ugh.
Tower of London, they've actually got the oh god, it's not like a pillar. Oh, I can't remember. It's like the slab that Anne Boleyn,
Was beheaded on.
yeah,
I've
where she
I
rested her
think I
head.
have
To have
pictures of it. I think
have
I have
you?
pictures of that. Yeah.
I mean, that was the Queen of England as well at the time,
Yeah.
which is which is scary if that can happen to her.
Yeah.
It can happen to anyone.
We don't have a chance. The stuff women go through is just so
Oh.
unbelievable. Yeah. Oh, I've toured that a few times. Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to get through my pictures and do a little.
Oh,
I always thought it'd
really?
be I always thought it would bore everybody, the person who pulls out their home videos and on their vacation and bores everybody to death with it.
No,
But,
I enjoy it, 'cause especially the historical sites as well. I have a great passion for historical and
mhm,
medieval crime and
mhm,
punishment, and the vast majority of that happened in this country. But there, like I'll read about stuff that happened in other countries, like you know, China or Vietnam or something like that. It's just interesting to see how
mhm.
different countries in different eras handled crime. And then
Oh, go ahead.
you
Go ahead.
and we currently got all the people who are complaining, well, the judicial system is not fit for purpose, it's useless. Like, it's so much better than it was a few hundred years ago, though. In all honesty, because you didn't want to be alive then.
Mm-mm. No, definitely
No.
not. And now I forgot. What was I gonna say? My mind just went blank. What's the name of the place outside of Rome where the Pope is? Why
Vatican City.
Vatican. The girl in the Vatican. Did you ever watch that?
I haven't seen that, no.
You gotta watch that. I just watched that. I'd heard about it a while ago and that it was really interesting, but I had no idea how interesting it was. I just watched it and I got a little obsessed with it. But
Yeah.
that was the horrible hygiene. Yes. The women in those beautiful poofed out dresses that were walking around going going to the
Oh,
toilet in
yeah.
under the dress. It just, like,
And they
ruined
slapped
the
all
whole
that,
thing to think
all
of
that.
what everything smelled like then.
They had that stuff on their face, like Queen Elizabeth the First. She had all that stuff to whiten her face, and it was full of like mercury, and all
Mercury.
made her look terrible when she got older.
Yeah.
It looked absolutely awful.
And it makes you lose your mind too.
Yeah. Well, I
It's
don't know. I think she did all right.
yeah.
She's the two Queen Elizabeths are by far and away my favorite monarchs. They
Mhm.
were
Mhm.
brilliant queens.
Yeah.
Um, and when our recent queen passed away, like, that was absolutely devastating, because
I
it was like
was
losing my
too.
grandmother, actually. Again, she was just such a
Yeah.
lovely,
Just so used
lovely.
to and I don't like Charles at all. I
I
don't know
don't.
if people have grown to accept him, but I felt like
Um.
it needed to skip to William and to go
Yeah.
to the king.
No.
And
I
it's
don't.
just not the same. I used to love to go to Buckingham Palace and all I didn't go for the funeral because it was just too many people, the line was so long, but
Oh, goodness.
I went
Yeah. It was
shortly
great.
after, and they don't let you take pictures or film once you get inside. So I couldn't take a picture of her, um, like, where she's laid to rest, but they have a picture online that you can access, but I've got, like, outside of it, and there was still a line to get in,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I did go not long after she died, just to go through, 'cause
Yeah.
you used to always go walk in and her face was everywhere, and now it's him, and I don't
Well,
like it.
yeah, like, for the first time the other day, I noticed that it was his face on a banknote, because all my life
Mm,
it's been her face.
her.
And it just
It
feels
seems wrong.
it feels wrong, because it's like it's not even like, like, I know there's been far more kings than queens in history, but, like, in my lifetime,
The
it's always been the
legendary one.
queen. Oh my god, she
Yeah,
was a legend, yeah. I mean, I do love her. I know the monarchy is not for everyone, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not like, staunch royalist or anything like that, but I appreciated the queen we did have.
yeah.
Um, I did, and
Oh, I'm
I
fascinated by it.
yeah, and I do like the history that we do have, that brings people, you know, visitors as well. We have
Absolutely.
all these castles and we have all this rich history.
Right.
That's only because we have a monarchy, to be fair.
Exactly. And when
I don't
people
love
say, "Oh, we need
praise.
to get rid of the monarchy," I'm like, "It keeps tourists
No, no,
coming.
no. Oh, people think that,
It brings so much money."
oh my goodness, yeah, yeah, it does. It really does. A lot more than, I mean, people say, oh, well, they're costing us a fortune. No, 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 they're not costing us a fortune. They have subsidies and various things. They get money back from us, but
Mhm.
as a country, we get a lot more for the fact that we have them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, no, I mean, I don't love Charles. I actually quite like Camilla. I do. I didn't
Oh,
think
I
I
don't.
would.
I can't. No, no, no.
I
I do.
do. I think she's not that bad.
If I saw her in person, I would, because I'm not very good at, keeping my mouth shut. I would probably be the one shouting something nasty at her. No, I don't like her at all.
I don't like Charles. I do like William and Catherine though. I am looking
I
forward to
I
that
love
era.
them. Yeah. I wish it had gone straight to them
Yeah,
and skipped Charles. But yeah, I don't like Camilla. I think what they did to Diana was cruel and horrible. I hate
yeah.
cheese
I mean,
so
she
much.
was having an affair herself, so it did cut both ways.
But after, I
Mm,
think it was a revenge thing, and that's not okay either, but
no,
she didn't stand a chance with those, you know? No, I
yeah,
don't. I think it was very cruel because she was just a young girl, and she thought she was in love and gonna, have a happy life, and
yeah,
he was just, yeah. No, I don't like them at all. Yeah, she
yeah,
was 19 years old, and she was damaged.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, she definitely deserved so much better. She was,
Mhm,
I mean, that was a queen in the making, definitely.
mm,
The country loved her, and when she died, I've never seen a country so devastated.
mhm.
Um, and it was hard to watch William and Harry as well because I did watch the funeral procession. William's the
Yeah, I
same age
did.
as me, we're the same age. So it was one moment in life I did feel sorry for Harry. Um, not so much lately, but
No, no, no.
it was hard to watch him kind of having to walk so publicly
Right.
behind that procession. I couldn't have done it. I
Mm-mm.
do kind of admire them, but Catherine is, I think she's wonderful. I think she's going to be good for
Oh, she's
reuniting the
perfect.
country again.
Yeah, she's perfect. I hope whatever that cancer was, I hope it's really gone and she's okay.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
was devastating to hear when she had that.
I
And
know,
Blake made fun of her, mocked her.
I know, and
During the reunion.
I did a thread on that too. I felt I didn't do the whole thread, but I did. I put it in a post somewhere to have a bit of a dig. Yeah, because that was,
Yeah.
it was just the kind of wonderful person she is, and that kind of, well, the outrage on that, the
Yeah.
backlash she got for that, it was almost as bad as
Well
what she did in
deserved.
the film, but she's not suing Catherine for claiming
Mhm.
there's a smear campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, CJ, because I got the book, and if I like a book a lot, I'll start off with audio and listen to it because I do a lot of driving, and if I like it, I like to have things on paper. Like
Yeah,
these cases, you should see my office. I have so much stuff printed. I have to print it to, like, really dig into it.
yeah,
So anything I'm gonna do an episode on, I have it all printed out, and I write all over it and research it, and then I put it. If people knew how much time I spend on each episode, you'd be shocked. But
no, yeah,
I so I
honestly,
liked
it would
the
be a
book.
lot.
I got the book, but I ended up I had the audiobook, and I couldn't even finish it because the voice that he uses through the whole thing, it's like a sulky brat to me. And I liked him and felt sorry for him until I listened to his voice tell his story. And funny enough, that's what that's what made me stop liking him because it was so poor me. The whole thing was this bitter, sulky, bratty And the stuff he said to me was so wrong. He misunderstands what a spare is. A spare is in case the firstborn dies, they take over. That's why he's even in line. He's in line because a spare took over. It's not this reject thing. And he goes so far to say that he was born so that if William needed an organ, he could provide it. And I was so, to me, that's insulting to your mother. Your mother gave birth to you and loved you. She did not view you as body parts for William. It was, when he said that, that was the first, like, this is ridiculous. And it
Yeah.
just kept going. And then he's like, and they would, and everything was just this voice like this, just, but it was like, I'm telling my story and I want you to all feel sorry. It actually made me not like him, which really shocked me, because I did feel sorry for him before I actually read his own words and his own voice. And I had to stop listening and just finish reading it myself because his voice was irritating me so bad. But he, he was talking about people saying how bad he was in school. And then you find out, well, he cheated in school. And then he talks about people saying that he took drugs. And then he talks about doing drugs. And I'm like, there's nothing that you've said that people talk about you that's not actually true. So if you were being falsely accused, that's one thing. But if people were just finding out what you actually did and discussed what you were actually guilty of, you can't complain about that. So to me, that yeah. And then just, I felt like Meghan was so disrespectful to the Queen.
Yeah, I mean, that was a strange situation. I try not to go into, because I know it's a divisive subject, but I will say though, like the last time we had a king or a monarch in the country who wanted to marry an American divorcee, he was told, he couldn't do it. He had to abdicate.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm talking about Edward and Wallis Simpson.
The eighth,
And
right?
yeah, Edward was the brother of King George, who was Queen Elizabeth II's father. So, but I mean, it was not even a question back then. Like, no, don't marry divorcees. It wasn't about being an American. It was about the fact that the person had been married before. Now, Meghan Markle has been married before. She's a divorcee too. I mean, we rolled out the red carpet. We did, for the wedding. That cost millions. She was warmly welcomed in. She didn't invite her own father, so Charles walked her down the aisle. They brought in things like, they had choirs and all kinds of things, and kind of preachers. There was a lot of things, that hat tipped towards her biracial as well. So we had, like,
Which was funny because she had never claimed it until then.
yeah, I mean,
When she filled in forms, she put herself down as Caucasian.
yes, she did. That's true. But I mean, we kind of, it was very multicultural, the wedding as well. It was very respectful to everyone's heritage. But I don't really know what happened after that.
Yeah. I
What
think
we
she
heard
thought
was that she was difficult to staff, and she was extremely rude to staff and to Catherine as well, over a dress that Princess Charlotte had to wear, and Catherine had only just had Prince Louis, the third child. So, there was just a whole lot of, throwing weight around, I guess. But
yeah. I think she thought she was going to be the new Diana, and when she wasn't, it made her mad.
No, and the thing is, she was coming out with some, if you look at the Oprah interview, she had some quite wild accusations, like, they took my passport, I couldn't leave. But then she had a bridal shower in New York. It's like, what are you, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. And then called the royal family racist, but then Harry goes on later on into a different interview. He goes, no one said that. Who said that?
Yeah, I saw
Your
that.
wife
I saw
next to you. You didn't deny
you were
it.
sitting there. What were you?
And
Yeah, it
it's
was.
just like I can understand the hard life he's had. He absolutely has.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and he was absolutely, he was loved so much.
Yeah,
He really
I
was.
yeah.
He was the favourite royal because it was so much fun, and he got on
Yeah.
very well with William and Catherine. And then I mean, I don't really know what happened. It just seemed to go south when after the wedding to Meghan. But she's not on any talking terms with her own family either. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
sounds like everything points to one
One
common
person.
factor. But I don't want to say it is just her because I don't really know. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I've got an open mind, but I just see all these accusations of racism, and like no one
No,
was being. Have you seen London
nobody.
today?
Yeah.
It's so
Well, all of Europe,
multicultural.
really. Well, I know it's not technically Europe anymore, but
Yeah.
Brexit and all, but
Well, I mean, we're still part of Europe. We're just not part of
yeah,
the
yeah,
the European sort of common market.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, when
So
she did that mock bow thing, that was kind of like I didn't wanna hear anything from her anymore. I'm like, You've gone too far now." She was
yeah.
because the queen was
Oh yeah.
dying,
Yeah.
and she did that mock bow, and I was like, "Wow, that's too far. You're too old for that. Grow up and stop it." A lot of people have trouble with their in-laws.
Yeah.
You don't go off and tell the whole world how I don't understand it. If she
Well,
loved when you love your spouse, you don't want to destroy their family like that. I don't understand it.
no, especially the
Really
royal
don't.
family because they have a whole moniker of um, you don't complain.
Mhm.
The Queen spent her whole life just getting on with stuff, regardless, and
Right.
not airing grievances and various things.
Yes, Eliza. Now she likes to keep the title though, doesn't she?
Mm,
So,
yeah, she does. Monica, yeah, I have no doubt they probably have been quite racist in their coverage of her. I'm not. That's
oh,
why I
I've
said
not
I
heard that.
don't really know
That
what's.
that's awful to hear. I don't wanna hear stuff
Yeah,
like that.
no, I mean I don't
I would
know.
hate to see that
I wouldn't
happen.
put it
I
past
don't
it
want
because
that to happen.
the Daily Mail are one of the biggest sources of UK tabloids, so I'll put nothing past them. But you know, not the. I'm talking about the royal family though.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm that's not the royal family we kind of know. And we knew Prince Philip had a thing, but he might say the odd kind of out of turn phrase, which might be
Yeah,
offensive
he
now.
wasn't the
But
best the most
yeah,
eloquent person.
no, but when he was younger, these things weren't considered offensive. I mean, the guy was in his 90s, so my granddad does. Says the same thing. He's not racist or anything, but he's like he might say something which I'm a bit like, yeah, well, time to change now.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
can't say that stuff no more.
I mean, he's 94. He's not going to start changing now, really.
Right.
And I think most people, when you get to that point in life, um, yeah, they kind of get set in their ways. But yeah, the tabloids over here are awful. They
Yeah.
absolutely are. They're shocking.
Yeah.
And I don't like them. I don't really trust them either. But I know
Right.
that's a problem in America as well. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I mean,
you're just
they're
constantly being
distracted.
fed a line and bullshit by people who are rich enough to you know pay for it or to spin a narrative for some kind of kind of lobbying kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I try to avoid it. I think I've been a bit outspoken on Lady C because I know the Americans adore Lady C. I don't. I don't, and most Britons don't, because I don't. The one area I will kind of say, and it's not that I'm sticking up for Meghan Markle, but the one thing I don't love about Lady C is always bashing on Meghan Markle. You know, oh, she's riding on
Yeah,
her
and see,
husband's
I don't like
name.
that.
She literally goes by the name Lady Colin Campbell. She's still riding on the coattails of a man she divorced,
How long ago? How long was she
60
married?
years
It was
ago. She was married for like 8 years.
yeah,
She got
yeah.
married after like 5 days
I'm like,
or something.
that's a little bit hypocritical. Yeah, I don't like the bashing. I'm not for
Yeah.
that.
No, I'm not.
I just think that she didn't conduct herself very well either.
No,
And
I mean,
when I feel like both sides are to blame,
mm,
I don't really like to get involved. You know, when you can see both sides did make mistakes,
oh yeah,
but I feel like I'm I feel like she really made a lot of trouble. And I think if she loved her husband, she wouldn't want to bring all this on him, you know. That's just
yeah,
my opinion. Because that's his family. It's not just an institution. It's his family, and it's not
yeah,
just his grandma. It's the grandma that raised him. He was so young when his
yeah,
mom died.
absolutely,
So it's cruel that he was away from her when she was dying. It probably broke both his and her heart.
yeah,
I did that bothers me just because oh my goodness, my grandma's was everything. I I still dream about her. Like she's
yeah.
in my dreams, she's never dead.
No, no,
And
same
I
here.
can't nobody could have took me away from her. It's just I think that's what bothers me so much. It looks
Yeah,
like so you guys said he's live about his subpoena?
there's Andy.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we've been on
yeah,
over 2.5 hours.
yeah.
I
I
should
think
probably do something today.
I will let you go because, but I don't know. Honestly, I could. I'm always the same. Like I think, oh, let's do this. It'll be an hour-long show. It'll be fine. But I always go way past because I get so comfortable. I can just,
Yeah, just
you know,
chatting.
quite comfortable talking to the people who come on and join me.
Yeah,
So
it's a
that's
great community.
I say this every time. It really is a great community, isn't it?
It is. It's not like other communities. It's really, really good.
Yeah, no, no, I love it. I love, all the kind of and all the collaboration as well. It's not even like just popping into each other's channels. Like we all kind of help each other or
Yeah,
um do various things, and it's just like it's become a real good friendship, which
yeah,
I really appreciate. I think if
I do
nothing
too.
else good comes from this lawsuit, is that like everyone, us lot, have all kind of connected with each other now and have
Yeah,
this
it's
dialogue.
not it's not competitive and
No, no.
it's just we're all for each other too.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I've seen it, when one has kind of had a troll or something, like the everyone all come
Support each
together
other.
to
Yeah,
defend. It's like a little army we have amongst each. No, you will
yeah,
not speak to use that other person like that. No, you won't do it. It's
yeah, that's this
amazing.
Sarah person who's attacking Donna, and
Oh, oh
I
God.
I said some unkind things that I do not say on there, but it just made me so mad.
Oh, I know. That's just ridiculous. And
It
ex
just brought
patriarch's
out the
another one as well.
and it's so funny when somebody says something nasty to me, I don't respond like that, but when they say it about somebody that I like, I can be so vicious.
Well, you
I
did.
don't
You
stick up
come
for
in the
myself.
other day, didn't you, with that person who was like having a go at me and Zach because we mentioned without a crystal ball and how we
Mhm.
kind of expressed how we felt about
Oh,
how
yeah,
we've been
I sure
treated by
did,
her.
and
Yeah,
she went away after that, didn't she?
yeah. I was like, oh my god, that was definitely a sock account.
Yeah, but if somebody comes after me, I don't usually I'm not able to do that, it's so funny. But,
No.
yeah, I saw her picking on you, and I was like, "Gotta shut this one up." Anyway.
Oh, I appreciate that. We did see you there, and the best words actually. I wish I did. They were around. I wish I could have said something to them, but yeah, that
Uh-huh.
was ridiculous. That was like, there
Yeah,
are moments of ridiculousness, but
there are. Thank
you
goodness
know,
they're few and far between.
yeah, they are. But I'm sorry I've kept you so long though. I hope
No,
everyone's
no,
kind of enjoyed it. It's
no,
just
I was
been,
yakking away too, but I'm so excited about the British thing.
yeah. Seriously,
I
we're
look
gonna
forward
do
to
something
that.
like that, yeah.
Yeah,
And
super
have a
cool.
bit of a regular slot where we just like do something, maybe about infamous crimes and sort of British history around
Oh, yeah,
torture
yeah.
devices and things
And
like that.
now
And
I
just,
gotta find out who Jack the Ripper was.
I know,
I
I,
don't know how I missed that. When I'm so hyper focused in things though, I do tend to shut everything else out
I
and just
know.
focus on.
Well, CJ's always got like CJ has me on her channel Objection, and everyone has to go and watch her channel because it's great. And she keeps having me on her, but she often covers like a multitude, whereas I'm like really laser focused on Baldoni Lively,
Mhm,
to the point where I don't really have time actually. I spend so much time reading all the legal filings with that because there's so many parties, there's so many legal filings coming out, do on top of each other, and I don't have time to cover other cases. Although I will be covering 7M's case,
mhm.
just to put that out there with Robert Shin and Without a Crystal Ball. Um, but I don't have time to like. I didn't watch Diddy, so TJ would have me on
I
and he'd be
didn't
like,
either. I couldn't handle that anyway.
no, I couldn't have. Well, I didn't want to watch it for this for the some of the stuff that was in it. But she'd have me on. She'd be like,
Right.
"So, what do you think of the case?" I'm like, "Can you catch me up, please?" I have no idea what happened.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
know
not.
he got away with almost everything, that's all I know.
Yeah. Right. I keep saying like I need to go, but I do need to
Yeah.
go.
Okay, yeah, me too.
But
Alright, well,
thank
thanks
you.
for having me on, and
No,
thanks
thanks for
everybody for
joining
joining, you
me.
guys are amazing.
Yeah, thanks to everyone in the chat. I really appreciate that. Everyone's been really sweet, as always. And thank you, Lara and Christina, for moderating, as always.
Okay.
Take care
Alright, you
then,
guys have a great
Kassidy,
day.
and I will catch up with you really soon.
Okay. Alright,
Okay,
sounds good. Okay.
see you
Bye,
later.
everyone.
Bye.